The proud walls of the Namgung family have finally crumbled into a bloody ruin. A legendary lineage was erased in a single night of absolute, heartless slaughter. Not even the strongest disciples could escape the rain of arrows and cold steel. Amidst the smoke, she stands alone, the last witness to her clan's brutal end. A monster blocks her path, effortlessly catching her blade with his bare, terrifying strength. This is the Blood Demon, a cult leader whose twisted will demands her extinction. Paralyzed by a sudden, chilling realization, she watches her destiny shatter in an instant. Without a shred of mercy, a cold blade pierces her chest from the shadows. He whispers that she is the final piece of a bloodline now completely destroyed. Her vision fades as she stares at the lifeless eyes of those she failed. The dying girl learns the man she just lost was her own father. The demon explains her father became a lowly bounty hunter just to find her. Her blade scrapes the floor as the weight of the revelation sets in. Paralyzed by the truth, her internal energy vanishes as she collapses in despair. Her eyes reflect the crushing weight of a destiny twisted by a monster's whim. Looking back, his strange kindness was nothing more than a carefully crafted trap. The demon smiles, admitting he raised her specifically to orchestrate this ultimate betrayal. Standing over the corpses, he reveals she was the weapon used against her kin. A hideous, mocking laughter fills the air as his dark plan finally succeeds. Broken and bleeding, she can only cough as her world descends into darkness. She grips her blade with the last of her remaining strength. Surrounded by her fallen kin, she begs for the nightmare to finally end. Her master looks down with eyes devoid of any lingering mercy. He coldly admits that his twisted game has finally lost its luster. With a final, hollow goodbye, the demon prepares to discard his favorite tool. A crimson arc paints the sky as the killing blow is finally struck. Lying in her own blood, she realizes her entire life was a lie. The legacy of the heaven-destroying sword vanishes into a single, lonely ripple. Suddenly, the darkness of death gives way to the warmth of morning light. She awakens in a past she thought was lost forever. The cold sting of death is replaced by a ceiling she hasn't seen in years. Her body feels impossibly light, devoid of the scars that once defined her existence. Ripples in a water basin reveal a reflection that should no longer exist. Staring back is a face unburdened by the tragedies of a bloody future. She realizes she has returned to a time when she was only 10 years old. The boisterous noise of a bustling inn pulls her back to the waking world. With a trembling hand, she slides open the door to face her new reality. Below her, the tavern is alive with the mundane chatter of a forgotten era. Suddenly, a familiar name mentioned in the crowd makes her heart stop in terror. Her father is still searching for her, unaware of the nightmare she just escaped. A traveler wonders how a child missing for 8 years could ever be found. From the balcony, the young girl listens as the impossible truth unfolds. The pieces fall into place as she realizes she is only 13 again. Patrons whisper of the secret birthmark that identifies the lost Namgung heir. Overwhelming shock hits her as she confirms her return to the distant past. She recalls the scar the blood demon carved to bury her true identity. His dark energy nearly consumed her, but her noble blood remains pure. A miraculous second chance has been granted to rewrite a destiny of blood. Standing amidst her tragic memories, she vows to stop the demon's reign. Her fist tightens with a burning resolve to reclaim the future she lost. She decides it is time to return to the place where everything began. This is the home she once destroyed with her own blood-stained hands. But a shimmering distraction catches her eye before she can take another step. Sweet, glistening treats remind her of a childhood stolen by a cruel fate. Her hunger for vengeance momentarily fades as she stares at the simple joy. The confused merchant wonders if this young girl truly intends to buy them. Her journey leads her straight to the heart of the Black Cloud gang. A small but powerful fist strikes the heavy gates of the enemy stronghold. The guard peers out, baffled by the child standing boldly at his doorstep. She stares him down while casually finishing her snack, ready for the coming slaughter. The guard dismisses her, warning that this gate is no place for a child. She ignores his threats, claiming she has a vital promise with the Archlord. Suddenly, a devastating shockwave of pure energy shatters the massive wooden entrance. She stares at her hand, testing the limits of her regressed, fragile body. The guard watches in absolute horror as his defenses crumble into mere splinters. His comrades rush forward, screaming in rage at the little girl who dared attack. She calmly walks through the wreckage, remembering the blood she spilled previously. A lethal streak of red light flashes, stopping the guards dead in their tracks. Her discarded snack stick pierces the thick wood like a masterfully thrown spear. Trembling and bloodied, the guard listens as she demands an audience with his master. A cold voice announces the arrival of a master who shouldn't be there. Terrified guards tremble as she demands the one thing that can save her. To walk a righteous path, she must first steal a legendary holy elixir. Her body is currently rotting from the inside, with stolen, corrupt blood energy. Returning to her family with this murderous aura would mean certain death. She targets a secret treasure being traded between the world's strongest sex. The guards sense a suffocating, killing intent radiating from this little girl. In her past life, this pill was a gift for a literal demon. She prepares to intercept the delivery before history can repeat itself once more. A masked guide bows low, leading her straight into the lion's den. She marches into the lion's den, prepared to seize a destiny that was stolen. Surrounded by killers, the young survivor greets the underworld's most dangerous men. The gang lord sneers, mocking the idea that a mere child is a legend. He acknowledges her etiquette but senses a spirit that refuses to be tamed. His eyes narrow, wondering why a little girl possesses such a headstrong, defiant aura. She knows he is cornered, hunted by the world's most powerful righteous sex. Calculating her odds, she counts over 100 blades ready to end her life. She bows low, offering a humble apology to mask her true, lethal intentions. She promises them a future of luxury if they ever visit her distant tower. But the Lord takes offense, refusing to be pitied by a child without power. She bows low, offering a final warning to avoid a path of certain destruction. Her cold gaze promises that refusing her offer will cost him every loyal life. The arrogant gang lord simply sneers, certain that a child cannot possibly survive him. He launches a brutal strike, intending to end her defiance with one crushing blow. But the moment he moves, she draws her blade with speed, defying human perception. She becomes a blur of lethal intent, vanishing before their very eyes in an instant. A single crimson arc paints the air as his elite guards fall like leaves. Even as another blade descends, her eyes remain calm, reading every desperate movement perfectly. She dances through the chaos, soaring over her enemies with the grace of a predator. Before they can even turn, she has already moved into position for the kill. She offered them a final mercy, but their pride has already sealed their fate. With a single breath, the young girl transforms into a whirlwind of crimson death. The gang lord watches in horror as his elite men are slaughtered like cattle. He wonders if he made a fatal mistake by dismissing her as a mere child. This is no ordinary girl, but a nightmare born from the legendary Firebird Tower. Every movement is a masterpiece of violence, leaving no room for a counterattack. The speed of her blade leaves him questioning how a child could be this powerful. His heart freezes as those cold, purple eyes lock onto his very soul. A desperate scream echoes through the hall, pleading for the massacre to finally end. He finally realizes the terrifying truth. He is facing a master who regained youth. The cold stare of a monster hides behind the face of an innocent child. Paralyzed by pure terror, the gang lord realizes his life depends on one treasure. He falls to his knees, desperately offering the very item he once swore to protect. With the objective finally in hand, she vanishes into the depths of the forest. She reflects on how much faster he surrendered compared to her previous life. Mercy was never an option, but efficiency is the hallmark of a true master. Now she must find a sanctuary to stabilize her surging internal energy. With a silent burst of power, she launches herself across the ancient tree line. Every movement is a blur of purple, leaving only a trail of wind behind. Her legendary journey to rewrite a tragic destiny has only just begun. A chilling sensation crawls up her spine as she senses a hidden presence. Sudden movements cut through the air like invisible blades across the dark forest. She lands gracefully, her instincts screaming that she is no longer alone. Boldly, she demands the stalker reveal themselves instead of hiding in the shadows. The leaves tremble as a heavy, suffocating pressure descends from the canopy above. High above, a man lounges with a deadly smile, mocking her cautious restraint. Her breath hitches as she recognizes the face of a legendary family protector. This is the Gale Wind Sword, a master whose speed rivals the lightning. Seob Mugwang demands her identity, his playful tone masking a cold, lethal intent. One wrong word will determine if she lives or dies by his hand. Seowa stands her ground as a suffocating presence looms from above. Perched like a predator, the Gale Wind Sword watches his prey with amusement. She realizes that meeting this legendary master now could ruin her entire undercover mission. With no other choice, she prepares to offer a greeting that reveals her identity. The young girl bows deeply, addressing the lethal master as her most esteemed senior. Confusion flickers across his face at the mention of a name he never expected. He descends with effortless grace, mocking the strange aura radiating from such a child. Looming over her, he demands to know the age of this bizarre, fearless child. She explains that a tragic accident stole every memory before she turned 5. The master stares in silence, unable to gauge the truth behind her calm gaze. He notices a jagged scar on her neck that she claims to have forgotten. She lies about her past, claiming her former master tried to end her life. The legendary swordsman watches her closely, sensing a darkness he cannot yet define. She risks everything by using a poisonous relic to purge her own internal energy. He demands to know why a child would willingly throw away such immense power. She fears her family will reject the monster she has slowly become. Feigning amnesia, she mentions a hometown located deep within the Anhui province. The master freezes upon realizing she belongs to the prestigious Namgung main house. A heavy silence falls as he weighs the danger of returning this girl home. Finally, he accepts her request and prepares to escort the mysterious survivor. The legendary master unexpectedly offers his protection with a boisterous, confident laugh. He declares himself her new guardian to ensure she recovers her lost strength. However, the young survivor finds his overwhelming enthusiasm more annoying than helpful. Elsewhere, a powerful gang leader trembles in fear as his past catches up. He collapses to the floor, begging for mercy from a cold-blooded executioner. A masked shadow demands to know who stole the precious smuggled item. Desperate to survive, he confesses that a young mistress already took it. He describes a 10-year-old girl who radiates a terrifying and ancient power. Satisfied with the information, the killer leaves the broken man gasping for air. A pack of deadly assassins now prepares to hunt down the mysterious child. The cold-blooded killers prepare to strike as the hunt for the child begins. Shadows leap across the moonlit rooftops, closing in on their unsuspecting target. Inside the fortress, the broken gang leader gasps for air in total despair. He collapses to the floor, his strength completely failing him under the pressure. Looking up with trembling eyes, he whispers the title of his young master. The mysterious girl warns him that deadly assassins are already on their way. She reveals the cold truth that his former allies have now abandoned him. The news of a massive siege by righteous sects leaves him utterly speechless. She exposes the hidden plot to destroy him and absorb his remaining power. Handing over a final gift, she commands him to take it and survive. She hands over the secret orders that will decide his ultimate fate. These instructions are the only hope to save his fortress from total destruction. The broken gang leader trembles, realizing the sheer terror of her presence. He wonders how many moves ahead this mysterious child is truly seeing. Elsewhere, the young survivor contemplates the heavy path she must now walk. She leads her new protector to a secluded forest hidden from the world. Her companion questions if she can truly handle the burden of this training. She challenges his loyalty, asking why he would help a total stranger. The warrior struggles to explain the instinctual drive behind his sudden dedication. He bluntly admits his hatred for the filthy energy currently surrounding her. Seo Mugwang claps his hands, declaring her rebirth is all that matters now. He offers a prayer of thanks, his eyes softening for the first time. The young survivor stares blankly, her mind already calculating the bloody road to vengeance. A playful smirk breaks his stern mask as he tries to lighten the heavy atmosphere. He reaches out to comfort her, but she stubbornly insists on walking alone. The warrior teases her robotic nature, reminding her that a child shouldn't be stiff. He warns that her parents will be heartbroken if their daughter returns a stranger. Accepting the harsh truth, she finally agrees to act like a normal child. Even a cold-blooded regressor can't resist the simple sweetness of a favorite childhood snack. Her master laughs, relieved to find a spark of humanity within his mysterious ward. With a final, bittersweet smile, her mentor leaves her to face the coming storm. Alone in the shadows, she prepares to consume a treasure that could change everything. One swallow is all it takes to ignite a power that shouldn't belong to her. She sits in silence as the ancient energy begins to surge through her fragile veins. A profound, oceanic power washes over her, clashing against the darkness in her blood. Every nerve screams as she forces her mind to focus through the agonizing heat. One wrong move means certain death or a fate far worse than total annihilation. She pushes faster and fiercer, purging every single trace of the corrupted blood energy. Her hands crackle with raw lightning as she masters the flow of her internal sea. A massive pillar of light erupts, marking the birth of a monster among men. The intense pressure of the ancient energy threatens to shatter her very soul. She locks her focus, desperately trying to stabilize the chaotic power within her. But the residual darkness of her past life refuses to be purged so easily. Blood stains her lips as the internal conflict tears through her fragile body. The corrupted blood energy clings to her like a suffocating and crimson shroud. She vows to never become a mindless puppet for that monster ever again. With a final surge of will, her own pure energy consumes the corruption. Outside the quiet sanctuary, the night air grows heavy with a sudden tension. Seo Mugwang waits impatiently, wondering why the process is taking so long. He begins to panic, fearing she might have fallen into a lethal chi deviation. The master questions if leaving a mere child alone was a fatal mistake. He watches from the shadows, his anxiety peaking as the silence grows deafening. But his fear turns to pure awe as he witnesses her impossible survival. She emerges from the darkness, a tiny warrior covered in the soot of battle. He praises her for purging the foul energy while she offers her humble thanks. To celebrate her return from the brink, he offers a mysterious small gift. He encourages the weary girl to open the token of his deep respect. Behind his smile, he realizes she didn't just survive, she grew exponentially stronger. She gazes at the simple bag, her mind swirling with the weight of destiny. A sudden realization flashes in her purple eyes as she senses something unexpected. He hands her a sweet treat, a small reward for enduring the unthinkable. With a heavy heart, the master thanks her simply for staying alive. He decides it is time to leave the battlefield and find a warm bath. Realizing 3 days have passed in that dark cave, she is suddenly lifted up. Her protector smiles, sensing her hunger and the exhaustion weighing on her small frame. He promises a taste of the city's finest as they prepare to depart. With a sudden burst of power, his feet shatter the very ground beneath them. They become a blur of motion, tearing through the forest like a lightning strike. Holding the young survivor tight, he leaps across the canopy with impossible grace. They vanish into the night, leaving only trails of wind behind their incredible speed. They streak across the night sky like ghosts fleeing a nightmare that won't end. Within her small hands, she holds a fleeting moment of peace amidst the chaos. Her gaze is sharp, hiding the weight of 1,000 tragedies behind purple eyes. The glowing lights of Hefei signal a brief respite from the relentless pursuit. A feast is laid out, promising the warmth of a home she no longer has. She hesitates, the steam from the bowls failing to mask her lingering exhaustion. Her guardian insists she eat her fill, desperate to see her smile again. But the sweetness of the street food has already dulled her hunger for more. Disappointment flickers in her eyes as she questions the simplicity of their current surroundings. He gently teases her, attempting to bring normalcy back to her shattered world. A single bite of this legendary dish is said to reveal the afterlife. Her guardian presents the delicacy, claiming its flavor transcends human understanding. Skeptical and weary, she takes a small, hesitant taste of the steaming bun. Suddenly, the explosion of flavor shatters her cold, calculated defenses. The regressed warrior forgets her mission, devouring the meal with desperate hunger. He watches her with a warm smile, satisfied to see a child's joy. A gentle hand rests on her head as she loses herself in the moment. He laughs heartily, promising to keep ordering until she can eat no more. With cheeks puffed out, the weight of her tragic past briefly fades away. Under the moonlit sky, the restaurant offers a fleeting sanctuary from their war. High above the city streets, a shadowy figure watches the unsuspecting crowd below. The Black Cloud gang lord demands to know if every witness has been eliminated. His subordinate presents a mysterious black cloth recovered from the scene of the struggle. Stitched into the fabric is a blood-red bird, the mark of an unknown enemy. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he prepares to report to his high-ranking superiors. Despite the danger, he orders his men to simply watch the girl from afar. Unaware of the eyes following her, the young warrior sleeps with her sword ready. Meanwhile, at the Grand Celestial Tiger Hall, tension reaches a violent breaking point. A massive bounty is slammed onto the table as a desperate search continues. The clan's third son rages over failing to find a single trace for years. Elders debate if the massive bounty is wasted on a girl potentially dead. The second son snaps, demanding they watch their tongues regarding the family bloodline. He reminds them that the eldest brother's heart would break at such callousness. But the third son grows bitter, tired of carrying the weight of others' absences. A single command silences the room as the ultimate authority finally intervenes. Namgung Muchan, the legendary sword sovereign, stands as the clan's immovable pillar. Even the most rebellious sons must bow before the overwhelming pressure of his presence. He acknowledges the long 8 years spent searching for a child lost to time. The elders listen in silence as the vacancy of the young lord's seat looms. Beneath his respectful facade, Chung-san merely wishes for his fractured family to return. The sword sovereign asks if they could simply abandon their own flesh and blood. Realizing his mistake, the third son bows in a display of forced submission. The patriarch warns his children that loose tongues only invite unnecessary disaster. Behind his stoic mask, the legendary warrior feels the weight of a fracturing legacy. He knows the seeds of rebellion are already growing within his own council. Treachery lurks in the shadows as someone manipulates the weak for their own gain. He cannot allow this internal poison to destroy the clan from within. Word arrives that the missing girl has finally returned to his domain. The tension in the room reaches a breaking point as the meeting ends. With a cold dismissal, the group is ordered to leave their lord alone. Two conspirators whisper about the arrival of a girl who shouldn't be alive. The clan's general manager waits with bated breath for the final confirmation. He points toward the entrance as the long-awaited figure finally emerges. A young survivor walks through the hall with eyes that have seen death. The manager freezes in pure disbelief at the sight of her transformation. He remembers a time when she was just an innocent child in his arms. Tears stream down his face as the weight of her return hits him. His companion warns him to stay calm and not reveal his true emotions. Behind a subtle smirk, The watcher observes the unfolding drama with hidden intent. She stands before them now, no longer a victim, but a weapon of vengeance. She finally stands before the legendary heavenly dragon sword sovereign. The absolute master exerts a pressure that feels like a dragon's crushing claws. Despite the overwhelming aura, she forces her trembling heart to stay calm. With a respectful bow, she offers a formal greeting to the clan lord. The powerful sovereign acknowledges her presence with a cold and simple welcome. A high-ranking official demands to know the mysterious girl's true name. He questions her claim while mentioning a hidden birthmark she cannot prove. She maintains her composure by speaking only of the fragmented memories she possesses. The skeptical administrator presses her to describe every detail of her past life. She vividly recalls a peaceful path of poppies beneath the shade of weeping willows. She clings to the warm memory of a giant hand guiding her through the poppies. Standing before the council, the tiny girl faces the weight of an entire legacy. The sovereign watches her with a gaze that pierces through her desperate lies. She realizes the garden she remembers is the very heart of the clan estate. A horrific vision of her future self burning the world flashes before her eyes. She admits her early childhood is a void, begging him to accept her truth. The lord scoffs, claiming such common scenery could belong to any wealthy noble. He demands undeniable proof that she truly carries the sacred Namgung bloodline. Confused and cornered, she struggles to comprehend why her identity is being rejected. The surrounding masters exchange glances, unsure if they are witnessing a miracle or deception. She stands her ground, questioning why her own bloodline requires such desperate proof. Her bold defiance sends the surrounding gang leaders into a state of pure panic. The master watches her with eyes that have seen 1,000 lies before. Frantic excuses fill the air as they try to shield her from his growing wrath. Suddenly, the tension snaps as a terrifying smile spreads across the old man's face. Booming laughter echoes through the hall, shaking the very foundation of the clan estate. He admits her words carry a weight that no mere impostor could ever mimic. The lord finds amusement in her spirit, acknowledging the undeniable truth in her eyes. He reveals that the ultimate test exists within these walls, though not yet ready. She accepts the challenge, willing to wait days for the chance to reclaim her name. The order is given to prepare a room for the mysterious child. The most prestigious pavilion opens its doors for the first time in years. No one expected the clan's most distinguished guest to be this young girl. The outer hall lord himself leads the way, stunned by her calm presence. He remembers the strict warnings to never investigate this child's true identity. Every luxury is provided as they walk through the pristine, heavily guarded grounds. She remains silent, her cold eyes scanning the warriors watching her every move. Beneath the peaceful beauty of the lotus pond, a hidden tension remains. The lord offers a warm meal, noticing the child's first sign of interest. With a simple nod, she accepts, her legendary journey finally beginning again. A lavish spread of delicacies is laid out to welcome the clan's guest. But for a regressed warrior, this feast presents a surprisingly difficult challenge. She pokes at the strange green bundle, unsure of where to even begin. The legendary survivor is completely defeated by the simple mechanics of a meal. Seeing her struggle, a helpful attendant approaches to guide the mysterious child. The protective bamboo leaves are carefully unwrapped to reveal the steaming rice inside. A rich aroma fills the air as the secret of the dish is revealed. She watches with wide eyes, momentarily forgetting the heavy burden on her shoulders. With a soft word of thanks, she finally takes her very first bite. Beneath this innocent facade lies a power that will soon terrify the heavens. After years of starvation and blood, a simple warm meal tastes like pure heaven. She rests her weary body, momentarily forgetting the monster she was forced to become. But the peace is fleeting as the ghosts of her past life start returning. She has finally returned to the family she was once manipulated into slaughtering. Every corner of this palace is hauntingly familiar, frozen in her tragic memories. The scent of incense suddenly shifts into the metallic stench of burning flesh. Her eyes harden as she recalls the day her soul was truly shattered. In her previous life, she stood over her own kin demanding their secrets. Her uncle chose a brutal death over betraying the clan to his own niece. She will go to hell, and back to rewrite this blood-soaked destiny forever. The memory of that monster's final threats still rings in her ears. In her previous life, she watched as his body was brutally torn apart. She was a cold-blooded executioner, viewing every struggle as a pathetic waste. But even then, she couldn't understand why the innocent had to bleed. Now back in the present, she stares at the steel she once wielded. Her heart aches as she struggles to face those she once betrayed. Closing her eyes, she tries to convince herself that the nightmare is over. Safe within the clan walls, she vows to stop the coming slaughter. Meanwhile, the elders discuss reports of a child meddling in secret sect affairs. They realize their plans are becoming far more complicated than they ever anticipated. The gang lord scoffs at how a mere child dismantled his entire organization alone. He warns that a hidden power must have helped her steal the sacred rejuvenation pills. The The clan head remains silent, his mind racing through the implications of this sudden arrival. Namgung Yom grows impatient, wondering if the old man is even listening to their warnings. Namgung Yom realizes the family head has already deduced the truth from his report. They must tread carefully, for this mystery involves the most powerful forces in the land. Despite the tension, the clan head is distracted by the girl's striking family resemblance. He finally accepts her as his own, seeing his legacy reflected in her grown form. The others remain skeptical, fearing that granting her such high status is a fatal mistake. He raises a cup, knowing that a single gesture can forge a bond for eternity. The clan head confirms he can never mistake the blood running through her veins. This revelation leaves his subordinates reeling in a state of total shock and disbelief. He declares that merely housing her in the guest pavilion is a massive insult. Reports flood in about the mysterious Firebird Tower and the shadows moving in Yunnan. Suspicions arise as the council questions if the girl harbors a dark, hidden motive. The gang leader remains silent, his mind racing with doubt about her true nature. He struggles to believe in her innocence while the stakes continue to climb higher. Even with Namgung blood, she was once a high-ranking mistress of a rival faction. They wonder if her desperate plea to return home is nothing but a lie. Yet, giving up a lifetime of cultivated energy is a sacrifice few would dare. He wonders if she sacrificed her power for a much darker, hidden motive. Despite his denials, his peers mock him for already growing attached to the girl. They decide to confront her directly about the mysterious events at Hwasan. A shared meal presents the perfect opportunity to test her true loyalty. While the Lord remains cautious, his subordinate insists the child can be trusted. The patriarch finally laughs, genuinely eager to meet the granddaughter he once lost. Meanwhile, she sits in deep meditation, channeling a power that feels entirely different. Pure energy flows through her meridians, washing away the corruption of her past. This calm strength is far easier to control than the bloodthirsty arts she mastered. Having reached the peak once before, she will reclaim her ultimate status even faster. Even in the dead of night, she refuses to let her training falter. Spiritual energy swirls around her as she attempts to reconstruct her broken meridians, but she quickly stops, knowing that gaining power too fast will expose her. The elders she met today would find this sudden growth impossible for a child. It is a frustrating game of pretend, hiding the peak mastery of her past. A knock at the door breaks her focus as a servant enters the room. She immediately asks for a place where she can test her physical strength. Her eyes scan the area, seeking a location far from any prying eyes. Though the maid offers an escort, the young girl has a different plan. She will sharpen her external techniques alone to keep her true identity hidden. Morning light hits the silent halls of the clan she once saw burn. She moves with purpose, realizing that blending in is her only chance at survival. Any display of her true power will be dismissed as a child mimicking others. Entering the training grounds, she is shocked by how openly they display their arts. From the shadows, she watches the next generation prepare for a war they cannot win. The air grows heavy as the disciples execute the first form of their style. Blades cut through the wind with a precision that lacks the weight of experience. They strike with everything they have, unaware of the monster standing in their midst. One trainee screams in effort, never realizing he is being judged by a master. These are the roots of the family, and she knows exactly where they break. Their movements are polished, but they are merely dancing without a soul. To a regressed master, these refined techniques are nothing but fatal flaws. In a real war, these children would be slaughtered before drawing breath. She decides to ignore them and prepares to start her own secret training. Just as she reaches for a blade, a sharp voice stops her cold. A senior disciple looms over her, unaware of the monster he is scolding. He warns her that these blades are not toys for a little girl. Looking at the others, he claims they belong here while she does not. He dismisses her as a mere attendant who failed the warrior exams. Little does he know, the child he pities has already mastered the divine. The senior mocks her, claiming a mere child could never master the blade. He dismisses her potential, ordering the girl to return to her lowly chores. She simply ignores his arrogance, turning her back on the loud-mouthed disciple. Enraged by her silence, he lunges forward to seize the weapon by force. He screams about respect, unaware he is barking at a literal killing machine. A heavy sigh escapes her lips as the man threatens her only allies. Her eyes grow cold as she decides this nuisance is no longer tolerable. The senior freezes in place, paralyzed by a killing intent he cannot understand. Sweat pours down his face while he struggles to process his sudden terror. With a blur of impossible speed, she leaves the arrogant fool in the dust. The arrogant senior gasps in confusion as his world suddenly tilts sideways. He hits the dirt hard while the girl walks away without a second glance. Staring at the ground, he cannot fathom how he ended up on the floor. She ignores the commotion, picking a wooden sword that fits her small stature. His fellow disciples erupt in laughter, mocking their leader for failing against a child. Humiliation turns his face bright red as he trembles with a mix of fury. He screams for her to stop, forcing the legendary warrior to finally turn around. Even as he stumbles forward, she remains eerily calm amidst his desperate shouting. Blinded by rage, he reaches for a real blade to reclaim his lost pride. He draws his weapon, swearing to teach this mysterious girl a lesson in respect. She finally accepts the challenge with a chillingly calm response. Her opponent charges forward, fueled by a desperate need to reclaim his pride. But his heavy swing meets nothing but air as she effortlessly ducks beneath it. A sharp strike to his leg sends the arrogant warrior stumbling off balance. She flows like water, spinning into a perfect stance for the finishing blow. To the onlookers, she becomes a blur of motion that no one can track. Panic sets in as he realizes his movements are being completely read. With a single precise movement, she shatters his defense and his spirit. The clash ends in an instant, leaving him collapsed on the cold ground. She stares down at her defeated foe, her true power still hidden from sight. The crowd watches in disbelief as the supposedly fair duel turns into a slaughter. She stares him down, asking if he truly intends to continue this pathetic display. Despite his humiliating fall, she gives him one final chance to show his worth. Gasping for air, the warrior realizes he is facing a monster in human skin. Silence falls as he swallows his pride and prepares for a desperate final stand. He slowly rises, finally accepting that his opponent is on a completely different level. With a new fire in his eyes, he grips his blade for one real strike. She notices the shift in his gaze as he finally begins to respect her. The legendary Namgung name carries weight, but she knows the clan's dark internal truth. Most are weak, leaving only a handful of masters who actually pose a threat. Years of peace have rotted the once mighty Namgung warriors from the inside out. He gasps for air, his pride shattered by a girl who shouldn't be here. She moves like a ghost, striking with a speed that defies human logic. While he struggles to breathe, she remains eerily calm, barely even breaking a sweat. The gap in their power is a bottomless abyss as she toys with him. Every desperate swing he makes is met with a cold, calculated counter. She wonders if these pampered disciples can ever be forged into real blades again. His screams of frustration fall on deaf ears as she analyzes his every weakness. The surrounding crowd watches in total silence, unable to process the absolute slaughter. They realize that the legendary hierarchy of their clan has just been obliterated. Even the clan leader's strongest strikes fail to touch her flowing, ghost-like form. Her gaze remains chillingly empty as she predicts his every panicked movement in advance. The sound of clashing steel echoes as she punishes his lack of refined technique. She mocks his reliance on brute force, claiming it only serves to slow him down. True mastery requires a balance of speed and direction that he simply cannot grasp. A devastating impact shatters the ground, throwing the seasoned warrior back like a doll. Gasping for air, he realizes the hierarchy he once knew has been completely destroyed. She closes the distance instantly, her movements transcending the limits of human perception. His body begins to stiffen from fear, rendering his sword arts entirely useless against her. A final, brutal strike to his foundation brings the one-sided massacre to a bloody end. Her speed defies logic as she dances around his clumsy strikes. The veteran warrior freezes, realizing he cannot even track her movements. A sudden burst of overwhelming pressure clears the entire battlefield in seconds. Smoke and debris settle, revealing the absolute gap in their power. Broken and breathless, the proud lord is forced to his knees. She calmly points out his fatal flaws while he struggles to stand. Confusion and terror wash over him as his worldview crumbles. With a simple wooden sword, she dictates the laws of true combat. This one-sided fight ends not with blood, but a crushing lesson in humility. She sighs, doubting if he even possesses the talent to understand her words. Bored with the pathetic training, she decides to leave the broken lord behind. He gazes after her, completely shattered by the girl's impossible display of power. As she vanishes into the courtyard, he wonders what kind of monster he encountered. The Grand Temple stands silent, witnessing the dawn of a terrifying new era. She regrets drawing so much attention instead of hiding in the guest halls. Leaving them with cryptic advice, she leaves their fate in their own hands. Looking at her trembling hands, she realizes she still cannot control her strength. The weight of her past life finally begins to crush her fragile young body. Her vision blurs as she desperately tries to reach the safety of the inn. Suddenly, the world turns dark, and her consciousness fades into a silent void. Her strength finally fails as the weight of her past life consumes her. Before she hits the cold ground, a familiar set of arms catches her. The outer hall lord stares down in utter confusion at the trembling girl. Amidst the silent courtyard, he holds the key to her clan's survival. She gazes up with hollow eyes, barely recognizing this man from her past. He notices her deathly pallor and realizes something is dangerously wrong. Desperate to hide her secrets, she weakly insists that she is perfectly fine. Ignoring her protests, he suddenly hoists the small girl into the air. He marches forward, refusing to let her fragile condition worsen under his watch. With a determined smirk, he decides she needs a professional medical examination. She steps into the medical hall, her small frame hiding years of trauma. The outer hall lord brings her inside, shouting for a physician to help. He scratches his head in confusion as she begins exploring the silent room. She offers a simple nod, pretending to be a quiet and obedient child. Her eyes scan the rare ingredients, recognizing the immense wealth of the Namgung. Cold realization strikes, as she realizes this doctor never existed in her past. Elegant footsteps echo through the hall, signaling a presence she did not anticipate. A beautiful woman emerges from the shadows, her smile hiding a sharp intellect. The stranger views her as a cute child, failing to see the monster within. Her purple eyes narrow, as the reality of a changing timeline sinks in. The doctor laughs with a warmth that feels entirely too manufactured for this world. She leans in close, her eyes searching for the identity of the mysterious young guest. To the world, she is just a startled child, a helpless little kitten in need. But beneath the surface, a monster grinds its teeth in absolute, cold-blooded fury. Memories of a blood-soaked past flood back, revealing a trail of poison and death. This woman was never a healer. She was the Bloodsect's most ruthless assassin. A single glance from those emerald eyes confirms the nightmare has truly returned. The realization hits like a blade. The enemy is already inside the clan's walls. Even the loyal outer hall lord remains completely oblivious to the viper in their midst. Panic surges as the killer reaches out, demanding a pulse that shouldn't be racing. She recoils in terror as the viper reaches out to strike first. A desperate cry for space barely masks the monster lurking within her soul. Even her loyal protector cannot sense the suffocating tension filling the room. She knows this killer's true face is hidden behind a mask of kindness. The elder begs for cooperation, unaware he is leading her into a trap. This supposed healer plays her part perfectly while waiting for the right moment. He mistakes her paralyzing fear for the simple exhaustion of a fragile child. An unexpected bribe of sweets momentarily shatters the heavy atmosphere of impending death. Logic dictates she must submit or risk exposing her secret far too early. With a defeated sigh, she prepares to face the touch of her future executioner. She tells herself that having a powerful ally nearby should keep her safe. The girl submits to a checkup while her protector watches with blind trust. A simple touch of the wrist begins a dance with a future mass murderer. Cold energy snakes through her veins as the assassin begins her hidden work. The invasive power probes her body, searching for secrets she cannot afford to lose. A sinister smile creeps across the healer's face as the trap finally snaps shut. In a flash of pure instinct, she strikes back with lethal and sudden precision. The supposed victim gasps for air as the girl's fingers tighten around her throat. Crimson aura flares, as the regressor warns her protector to stay out of this. She refuses to let a killer hide behind the lie of a medical exam. The regressor finally releases her lethal grip, as the tension reaches its breaking point. Bruised and gasping, the hidden assassin feels the lingering ghost of certain death. A forced laugh masks the terror of being hunted by a mere child. The elder watches in cold sweat, sensing a killing intent far beyond any assassin. No ordinary girl could possess such a ruthless heart forged in blood and shadow. Without a single word, she turns her back on the monsters hiding in plain sight. Every step she takes echoes with the weight of 1,000 forgotten lives. The infiltrator massages her throat, comparing the girl to a feral, unpredictable beast. Confusion grips her protector as he questions if the medical exam revealed any secrets. But the truth remains buried deep, leaving the enemy grasping at shadows and lies. The elder realizes this girl has been surviving on pure, savage instinct. He seeks answers from a doctor who hides a dark, lethal secret. She dismisses the child as a kitten needing a much deeper inspection, but the bruise on her throat proves this girl is a hidden predator. In her eyes, the child is a powder keg, ready to explode. In a hidden past, the doctor's true malice served the blood cult. She faced her superiors with a coldness that surpassed their own. To her, taking a life was nothing more than a light hobby. As one of the 12 moons, her loyalty belongs to the demon. She feels no remorse for slaughtering those she deems as mere nobodies. The doctor reflects on a past life shrouded in blood and deep deception. She remembers the irony of being called a member of the righteous sect. When asked why she joined the cult, her answer remained a cold mystery. Behind her beauty lies a predator who only lives for the kill. Meanwhile, our regressor is haunted by the secrets of her previous timeline. She wonders about the targets of the killers she once ignored so carelessly. If she had known their paths would cross again, she would have asked. The ripples in the water mirror the shifting, dangerous fate of her clan. Suddenly, the clan head interrupts her solitude, sensing her heavy thoughts. The clan head approaches, sensing the heavy burden weighing on her young soul. She offers a respectful greeting, hiding her lethal past behind a mask of innocence. News of the recent confrontation has already reached the ears of the powerful patriarch. He questions the reckless ambition of the boy who dared to challenge her. To her, a wooden sword is no threat compared to the horrors she has witnessed. He wonders if her lack of fear stems from a hidden, overwhelming strength. A tense laughter follows as he acknowledges the terrifying truth behind her calm eyes. Silence falls between them, heavy with the secrets of a timeline he cannot see. The patriarch drops a bombshell about her lineage that changes their dynamic forever. The patriarch senses a lethal darkness within her that no ordinary child should possess. He sees a phantom killer, drenched in the blood of 1,000 forgotten lives. His only wish was for his granddaughter to live a life far from war. The girl calmly asks if the identity of her past tormentor even matters now. For the patriarch, knowing the truth is the only way to demand absolute retribution. He swears a blood oath that those responsible will never know a quick death. Tearing them limb from limb wouldn't be enough to satisfy his burning rage. A massive surge of energy erupts, shaking the very foundations of the entire clan. As the storm rages, she wonders if she is still the victim he sees. The girl stares in silence, wondering if he truly realizes who she has become. Standing before the patriarch, the weight of 1,000 years hangs between them. Tension spikes as his hand grips the hilt of a weapon feared by many. A thunderous crash echoes as the blade is driven deep into the stone. He watches her closely, searching for a spark of the power she hides. He demands to know when she will finally surpass the strength of this sword. She gazes at the weapon, realizing its name carries the destiny of their clan. His stern gaze softens as he remembers how small she once used to be. A rare moment of peace follows a simple invitation that changes everything. He reaches out with a warmth she hasn't felt in a lifetime. The patriarch smiles, promising a feast fit for the clan's future. She touches her head, stunned by the patriarch's unexpected kindness. A quiet agreement escapes her lips as the past begins to shift. But as night falls, a suffocating darkness begins to swallow the estate. Even the tranquil waters ripple with the presence of an unseen predator. Shadows dance through the silent halls, searching for a target. A lone servant wanders into the path of a malice she cannot see. She turns toward the void, whispering a question that remains unanswered. A suffocating shadow creeps into her room while the world sleeps in silence. Ripples of blood-red malice echo through her mind, shattering her fragile peace. Her eyes remain shut, but the nightmare of her past is already taking hold. A familiar, terrifying voice demands to know why she hasn't started the slaughter. Compelled by a dark command, she rises and draws the blade she once hid. Corrupted energy flares as she prepares to stain the Namgung name with innocent blood. Outside, a concerned servant approaches, completely unaware of the monster she just awakened. With a single, devastating strike, the room explodes in a whirlwind of lethal power. Her humanity fades, as the order to bring him their blood consumes her soul. Inside the quiet hall, the elders bicker over trivial matters and old bets. The Gale Windsword demands silence, growing weary of the constant, petty arguments. Even as they joke, a heavy weight settles over the room's joyful atmosphere. The clan lord hides his growing unease behind a simple paper scroll. Accusations of childish behavior fly across the table while the tension slowly builds. Suddenly, the heated debate is cut short by an unnatural, chilling realization. The lord of the Namgung family freezes as the air itself begins to change. Confused glances are exchanged as the peaceful meeting grounds to a sudden halt. A thick, disturbing scent drifts through the air, choking the very life out. Horror dawns as he realizes the metallic stench of fresh blood is everywhere. Heavy footsteps echo through the corridors as a dark secret enters the room. The regressed survivor clutches a blood-stained cloth, her eyes filled with sudden dread. She immediately bows before the clan lord, desperately trying to mask her inner turmoil. His gaze pierces through her as he demands the source of that fresh blood. Looking down in shame, she prepares a desperate lie to protect her hidden mission. A blue barrier seals the room as he mentions a high-profile guest has arrived. She claims her wounds were a simple mistake during a late-night sword training session. Kneeling in silence, she apologizes for causing the head of the family unnecessary worry. The Lord reveals the soundproof barrier is active, demanding the absolute, unfiltered truth. Even under his intense pressure, she clings to the lie of a training accident. The Lord notices the heavy staining on her bandages as the bleeding continues. He gently presses down to stop the flow, demanding she trust him completely. He vows that the entire Namgung clan will serve as her unbreakable shield. She can only offer a hollow promise to keep his words in mind. A shadow appears at the door as the medical chief arrives to finish treatment. With a final glance, the clan head departs until the following evening. Left alone, she touches her wounds, haunted by her own deceptive actions. She realizes the powerful Lord likely sees right through her desperate lies. Fear settles in as she wonders how long his patience will actually last. She remembers the terrifying moment she woke up with a blade in hand. Haunted by blood, She realizes her body still obeys the blood demon's terrifying commands. Desperation sinks in as she searches for a way to break this internal curse. Suddenly, the medical chief interrupts her dark thoughts with a playful, gentle greeting. Looking at that kind face, she realizes this woman is her only hope now. Thick smoke rises from the incense burner to mask the scent of her wounds. The healer offers her medicine, praying the girl can endure the coming physical pain. Standing guard, the clan lord confirms he is watching over the medical process. She remains silent as treatment begins, earning praise for her unnatural, stoic bravery. With a hesitant look, she reveals that another hidden injury requires immediate attention. This shocking revelation sends the entire room into a total, panicked frenzy. The clan lord panics, desperate to inspect the girl's life-threatening abdominal wounds. He freezes as the true, horrifying extent of her injuries is finally revealed. Realizing the sensitivity of the treatment, he asks if he should step away. A heavy silence falls as he awaits a response from the focused healer. He questions if she can truly repair the damage hidden deep inside. The healer explains that only her internal energy can save the dying girl. Surprised by the girl's sudden cooperation, the healer wonders if trust is forming. Blinding light erupts as pure energy begins to circulate through the girl's body. The regressor remains stoic, masking the immense power hidden within her soul. Suddenly, the healer asks a chilling question about the darkness she senses within. The healer's gaze sharpens as she senses a darkness lurking within the young girl. Using secret voice transmission, she demands to know the source of this murderous intent. She confesses that she once harbored a similar rage after losing someone precious. Revenge was her only motivation because the enemies had dared to hurt her beloved. A gentle smile masks her inquiry into whether the girl still holds on to love. The regressor counters by questioning where the healer's true loyalties actually lie. It is a complex riddle with no simple answer for those caught between factions. The girl silently acknowledges the answer, feeling the weight of their shared secrecy. She insists her loyalty is not bound to the murderous cult of the demon. Despite her tragic regression, a flicker of humanity remains within her cold heart. The regressor contemplates the terrifying truth behind the physician's sudden realization. She stares at the lethal Blood King poison, a weapon of absolute death. The healer exposes the girl's secret identity, threatening to shatter her mask. She demands an alliance to stand against the overwhelming power of the blood demon. Long ago, a sadistic prince bathed an entire innocent village in blood. Only one child survived the massacre, fueled by a burning need for vengeance. That child infiltrated the palace and executed the prince with a silent poison. Now the healer questions how that legendary assassin joined the Namgung family. Tension fills the room as the healer denies ever conducting a background check. She extends a hand, offering a simple deal that could change everything. Desperate for answers, she begs for one final medical examination of her body. She reveals the horrifying truth about a curse lingering deep within her soul. The silent room holds the weight of secrets that could destroy them all. This is no ordinary spell, but a mental suggestion meant to enslave her. The healer explains this dark magic controls the mind through specific triggered actions. Breaking this mental shackle requires either killing the master or total violent rampage. Her current clarity only exists because the master is not physically nearby today. While weak connections shatter easily, a strong bond means total inescapable spiritual dominance. Terror strikes, as she realizes her master could reclaim control at any moment. No matter how far she runs, she remains trapped in a cold, invisible palm. The ominous warning echoes through her mind as she walks the blood-red halls. She knows that staying idle will only lead to her inevitable destruction. With enemies watching her every move, escaping this invisible cage seems impossible. To break free, she must find someone capable of creating a massive diversion. Peering from the shadows, she begins her search for the perfect pawn. A sudden burst of raw power catches her eye from across the courtyard. She needs a warrior who can perform the tasks her child body cannot. This man possesses the fierce determination required to become her first true ally. She carefully weighs her options while observing his every strike and movement. With one explosive blow, he proves he might be the key to her survival. The disciple pours everything into his training, unaware of the eyes watching him. Sweat pours down his face as exhaustion begins to cloud his vision and focus. He forces a heavy breath, centering his spirit for the next explosive strike. Closing his eyes, he searches for the strength to push past his physical limits. Suddenly, a chilling memory of the past manifests as the girl steps forward. She challenges him directly, testing if he truly possesses the talent she needs. With a cold whisper, she signals the start of a life-altering duel. She moves like a phantom, closing the distance before he can even react. Terror strikes his heart as he realizes her speed is beyond human comprehension. A massive shockwave erupts as she humbles the warrior with one devastating blow. His foundation crumbles as his feet fail to find any solid purchase. Tense muscles betray him, turning his fluid strikes into rigid, desperate swings. He lashes out with blind inertia instead of reading her untouchable movements. The pressure becomes unbearable as his wooden blade begins to splinter and groan. A sudden burst of power shatters his weapon into useless, flying shards. He stands frozen, staring at the empty hilt of his once proud sword. Shame burns deep as he clenches his fist against his own pathetic weakness. She leaves him behind, citing a lethal gap in their sheer combat experience. Exhaustion takes hold as he collapses under the weight of his total defeat. He finally realizes how insignificant his skills are compared to a true monster. He kneels in the dirt, consumed by the bitter taste of his own worthlessness. Sweat pours down as he forces his trembling body to stand once again. A sudden presence breaks through his self-loathing, catching him completely off guard. He turns to find the mysterious girl watching his every move with piercing eyes. Her calm expression hides a level of power he can barely even comprehend. Stunned by her arrival, he struggles to find the right words to say. He offers a formal greeting, but she insists they treat each other as equals. They finally trade names, establishing a bond that will change his destiny forever. She leans in, noting his blade now carries the lethal intent of a warrior. With a final challenge, she leaves him to hone his edge against an imagined foe. The disciple bows deeply, offering his eternal gratitude for her life-changing martial arts wisdom. He asks how long this mysterious master will grace their halls with her presence. Her eyes remain cold, hiding a past of blood that no child should know. With a flushed face, he begs for her continued guidance in his training. He knows his limits and recognizes her power is far beyond any normal warrior. Surprisingly, she accepts his request, agreeing to watch over his path to strength. The boy can barely believe his luck as the legendary survivor grants his wish. He eagerly offers her full control over where their secret training will take place. She commands him to meet her at dawn, setting the stage for his awakening. The location she chooses leaves him breathless, knowing their bond has finally been forged. The realization hits him like a lightning strike as her true identity is revealed. This small child is actually the honored guest who turned the clan upside down. Deep within the quiet pavilion, a secret meeting is about to change everything. She moves with a grace that hides the lethality of a seasoned master. The clan lord welcomes her personally, offering a feast fit for a legendary warrior. With the servants dismissed, the atmosphere grows heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. He demonstrates high-level telekinesis, yet she watches with the eyes of an equal. When asked about her wounds, she admits her very senses have been numbed. The Lord can hardly fathom the kind of torture that could break a soul. She casually reveals a childhood of near-death experiences that no human should survive. She recalls the agony of forced energy that shattered her memories and her senses. Despite the lingering trauma, she finds solace in the clan's surprisingly high-quality feast. The clan lord breaks the silence, questioning if her savior was the legendary master. His eyes narrow as he searches for a truth hidden behind her youthful facade. He asks why she betrayed him, revealing he was her destined executioner. She swallows hard, knowing her betrayal was the only way to escape certain death. He looks down in shame, admitting his clan cannot defeat the coming storm. With grim determination, the lord vows to step onto the battlefield personally. She hesitates, knowing that even his legendary strength might not be enough to survive. She warns that even destroying a sect won't stop its true, invincible master. The clan lord scoffs, dismissing her impossible warnings as a mere baseless fantasy. He demands the truth, forcing her to reveal the secret identity of their enemies. She stares at the table, haunted by the memory of a power beyond comprehension. With a trembling hand, she begins to trace a forbidden symbol in the water. She completes the character for prohibition, signaling a secret that cannot be told. She explains the prohibition, a gag order enforced by the threat of instant death. The Lord stands in shock, realizing his clan has been compromised from the start. He recognizes the restriction curse, a lethal seal that ensures silence through certain death. One slip of the tongue causes the heart to burst in a bloody spray. An unstoppable tidal wave of blood is about to drown the entire Namgung estate. The Lord reels as he realizes a hidden power has blinded his entire clan. He mutters the word spies, realizing his own home is a den of snakes. She looks away, wondering if the truth is too much for him to believe. The Lord stares her down, demanding to know her one true motive. She declares her mission is to stop the inevitable extinction of their bloodline. Her gaze hardens as she claims her birthright as a true Namgung child. Silence falls over the room while the master weighs her impossible words. He admits her story is unbelievable, yet he vows to watch her every move. As the clan head, he warns that any betrayal will be met with death. But just as the tension peaks, he prepares to reveal a startling condition. The survivor listens as the Lord questions if her heart belongs to the clan. He vows to become the protective sky she can finally lean upon. With a solemn promise, the clan head gives his word to support her. Far away in Yunnan province, The city lights mask a brewing darkness. Perched high above the festive streets, the blood demon watches with a cold smile. Reports arrive that his former disciple surrendered without even drawing her blade. He wonders how she regained memories he was certain he had erased forever. Though his followers demand her death for betrayal, the master remains calm. He laughs, knowing her conditioning will eventually force her back to his side. The monster intends to reclaim the girl who slaughtered his own men. The villain views the lives of commoners as mere fuel for his grand design. His loyal shadow kneels in absolute submission to his master's terrifying new command. He decides to let his runaway disciple enjoy a fleeting moment of false freedom. Yet his obsession lingers as he resolves to monitor her every single move. A dark gift is prepared to remind her exactly who still owns her soul. Meanwhile, the moonlit gardens of the clan house hide a desperate medical search. The physician channels her energy to probe the dark seal hidden within the girl. A heavy silence falls as the true nature of the girl's torture is revealed. Evidence of a soul-binding curse confirms their worst fears about her mysterious past. The clan head learns that only the monster who placed it can break it. The clan leaders gather under the moonlight as a fading curse offers a glimmer hope. But for the young survivor, the weight of her hidden identity remains a crushing burden. The fallen lord issues a chilling warning that her very life hangs in the balance. Even the strongest warriors feel the strain as their legendary senses begin to fail them. A martial artist who cannot feel pain is merely a walking corpse waiting to fall. She sits in silence, unable to perceive the warnings her own broken body is sending. The investigation deepens as the clan head demands to know what other horrors she hides. Her internal meridians are a chaotic mess, shattered by the purging of her former power. A grim silence falls over the room as the true extent of her damage settles. He moves behind her with a heavy hand, commanding her to remain perfectly still. The clan head begins a dangerous probe of her internal energy flow. A massive blue dragon manifests as he searches for her hidden truth. The sheer pressure of his aura threatens to expose her deepest secrets. He finally pulls back, the overwhelming power fading into the cold night. His face darkens with a heavy grief that he cannot easily hide. She looks up as he acknowledges the impossible journey she has taken. He welcomes her back, lamenting the cruel years she spent in hell. Confusion fills her eyes when he mentions the father she once lost. A sudden shout about the young master breaks the heavy emotional silence. Panic rises as they realize the family head has not been informed. The clan head tenses as an unexpected presence arrives with impossible speed. A frantic shout echoes through the courtyard announcing the young master's sudden return. A man cloaked in white fur emerges, his arrival shattering the heavy silence. She freezes in place as a face from her nightmares finally appears. A single tear falls, breaking the mask of the cold-blooded assassin she once was. Standing before her is the father she personally executed in her past life. The legendary sword of Namgung lives again, defying the tragedy of her memories. Her heart aches as she struggles to process this impossible, living ghost. The elder urges them to stop weeping and verify her current physical condition. He kneels before his daughter, asking to examine her while she seeks an explanation. Great families are plagued by enemies who steal children to create fatal weaknesses. She stands silent as her father reveals a secret meant to protect her. Hidden marks on her skin serve as the only proof of her royal bloodline. 5 strategic points form a dragon shape only a parent could ever recognize. He checks the final mark on her heel to confirm her true identity. The legendary sword of Namgung kneels before the daughter he thought was lost. A heavy silence falls as he processes the impossible truth of her return. The clan elders watch with bated breath as the family's future hangs in balance. Even the medical chief remains frozen by the sheer weight of this miraculous reunion. A trembling hand reaches out to touch the child who shouldn't be alive. The legendary warrior finally pulls his lost daughter into a crushing, desperate embrace. Tears stream down his face as he finally whispers her long-lost name. Under the watchful gaze of the fallen lord, the impossible reunion finally unfolds. She remains frozen, unable to process the warmth of a father she once killed. He shields her from the world, marveling at how much she has grown. In a shocking display of humility, the great master kneels to wash her feet. His heart breaks, seeing the horrific scars and wounds marring her fragile skin. Despite his bloodshot eyes and grief, a genuine smile of joy finally breaks through. She struggles to understand this man who shifts from sorrow to laughter so instantly. The weight of her new reality settles in as he calls her name again. The man she once slaughtered asks if she understands the weight of her name. He reveals she was born on a day when white flowers covered the entire world. Her mother, a woman who loved her beyond measure, chose the name Seol Hua. Though her memories are gone, the shadow of her mother lingers in his eyes. Even from the heavens, that love remains an eternal shield for her fragile soul. A sudden, vibrant laughter breaks the heavy silence as he celebrates her impossible return. He offers a rare moment of peace, inviting her to walk the streets tomorrow. While she craves the power of the Namgung heart technique, her resolve begins wavering. The simple mention of a childhood treat cracks the cold armor of a regressed warrior. Under the moonlit estate, she accepts her role in this second, fragile life. Deep within the silent pavilion, a dangerous secret begins to stir tonight. A servant's report arrives, carrying whispers that could shatter the clan's peace. Cheong-hae questions if their mysterious guest is truly just a young girl. The unit leader confirms the news, his eyes fixed on the unfolding mystery. No prestigious sect or clan claims her, making her presence an impossible anomaly. Rumors suggest her inner strength is weak, yet her influence says otherwise. They wonder if she is a hidden master masking a terrifying level of power. But the report holds one final detail that changes the entire board. The brush slips as the truth reveals her companion is the missing heir. Stunned into silence, he realizes his long-lost brother has finally returned home. Horak delivers a report that threatens to shatter the clan's fragile internal peace. Cheong-hae calculates the distance, realizing his rival brother has finally resurfaced nearby. A storm of ambition clouds his mind as he weighs the coming conflict. The ink drips like a dark omen of the blood soon to be spilled. His subordinate offers reassurances, but the political stakes have never been higher. A scandalous detail emerges about the brothers' sudden affection for their mysterious guest. Sudden realization strikes Cheong-hae like a physical blow, leaving him paralyzed with shock. He frantically questions if the legendary Seolhwa has actually been found at last. Horak watches his master unravel as the carefully constructed status quo collapses. With the true heir returning, the desperate scramble for power has officially begun. Cheong-hae knows he must act before his rival secures his place forever. He prepares to unleash 3 combat units to ensure his absolute dominance. Suddenly, a violent shockwave rips through the training grounds of the estate. A powerful disciple lies defeated, gasping that he cannot endure another second. The survivor looks down in confusion, wondering why such light weights broke him. He screams that he is actually carrying hundreds of pounds of hidden iron. She tilts her head, realizing the clan has abandoned these fundamental methods. She bluntly calls him weak, scratching her head at their pathetic standards. The warrior collapses again, unable to handle the weight or her insults. He reaches out a trembling hand, desperately begging her to finally stop. The broken warrior forces himself to rise, swearing to endure the survivor's impossible demands. Every breath feels like fire as he desperately tries to prove his worth. He regrets his pride while his body screams under the weight of hidden iron. Time stretches into eternity as his legs begin to buckle against the crushing pressure. His grip falters, the wooden sword becoming a leaden burden in his trembling hands. Darkness edges into his vision as he prepares for the inevitable, humiliating collapse. Despite the agony, he maintains his stance, fighting a battle against his own limitations. Suddenly, the crushing weight vanishes, replaced by a strange and hollow sensation. He looks back in shock, realizing the regressed monster has altered his very reality. With a simple gesture, she reveals that his true training has only just begun. A single touch from her finger makes the impossible weight vanish into thin air. He stares in utter shock, wondering what kind of sorcery he just witnessed. She explains the secret of distributing force across the entire body with perfect precision. Raw strength is a hollow gift if it is spent without control or purpose. Charging headfirst into a fight is a mistake that usually ends in a grave. Beneath her, youthful gaze lurks a predator who has seen the world burn before. He must refine his vessel to minimize energy loss before the real war begins. Every word she speaks shatters his understanding of what it means to be strong. The lesson concludes as the young man finally collapses under the sheer physical toll. Gasping for breath, he realizes he is being forged by a literal human monster. The exhausted disciple struggles to catch his breath under her watchful, predatory gaze. He bows deeply, thanking the young monster for a glimpse into the ultimate realm. Though his body screams in pain, he recognizes this torture as his only salvation. She nonchalantly demands he master a weight that would crush any ordinary man's bones. Her true plan unfolds as she orders him to bring more lambs to the slaughter. Strengthening the clan's foundation is the first step toward rewriting their bloody, doomed history. To him, she is a goddess who has achieved the impossible state of perfect unity. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance for the weak to finally grasp true, overwhelming power. He swears to bring every warrior he knows, unaware of her hidden, cold intentions. The training ground echoes with his desperate hope as the real forging finally begins. The bustling market hides a girl carrying the heavy weight of a bloody future. Her father holds her hand tightly, unaware his killer now walks beside him. He offers a simple meal, a kindness she never expected in this life. With a spark of recognition, she leads him toward a memory from long ago. The master swordsman is baffled by his daughter's sudden, strange familiarity with the city. Steam rises from a bowl that once fueled legends in her past timeline. They sit across from each other, a fragile piece masking the coming storm. She offers him a gift, a small gesture to bridge a lifetime of regret. Every bite is a reminder of the humanity she sacrificed for absolute power. She finally understands the simple joy that even gods once fought to protect. She tastes a delicacy that shouldn't even exist in this current timeline. Her father offers a gentle touch she never knew in her first life. A sudden disturbance shatters the peaceful moment between father and daughter. Low-level thugs wearing the family crest are terrorizing a helpless old shopkeeper. A heavy stomp echoes through the room as the situation turns violent. These arrogant warriors demand respect while staining the Namgung family name. A cold fury burns in the eyes of the true master watching nearby. The terrified man is tossed aside like trash by those sworn to protect. They claim to be heroes while acting like common criminals in the street. The victim realizes that even peace comes with a heavy, hidden price. The silence of the tavern is shattered by a pathetic, desperate excuse for money. Cold sweat drips down as a simple mistake turns into a life-threatening confrontation. These self-proclaimed heroes stare down their victim with eyes devoid of any actual honor. The humble owner is forced to beg for mercy on the very floor he sweeps. A cruel smirk spreads across the face of the man leading this mockery of justice. Their booming laughter echoes through the rafters, celebrating the successful intimidation of the weak. They walk away satisfied, leaving behind a trail of fear and broken dignity. The heavy door slams shut, marking the end of their reign of terror for now. A son rushes to his father's side, desperate to help him up from the dirt. Watching from the shadows, the true masters realize the law is powerless against corrupt warriors. Her father stands before her, a ghost from a past life she once ended. He offers a gentle smile, unaware his daughter carries the weight of 1,000 sins. She nods obediently, knowing he has already blocked every path for her escape. As he departs, she wonders how a master of his caliber handles such disrespect. The silence of the room leaves her questioning the true nature of his justice. He settles the matter quietly, allowing the men to return to their families unharmed. He decides to deduct their salaries to pay for the damage they caused earlier. His daughter looks on in total shock, unable to comprehend such a soft response. She coldly asks why their tongues and hands were not severed for their crimes. She believes that evil intent and deceitful words deserve only the sharpest of blades. She compares her father's soft mercy to the brutal justice of the blood cult. He argues that maiming warriors only robs them of their future as martial artists. She argues that the severity of the punishment is exactly what they deserve. He insists that even the most wicked deserve a single opportunity for true change. Her father acknowledges her dark perspective, yet chooses the path of the righteous sect. His piercing gaze holds a depth that the young regressor still cannot fully grasp. She stuffs her face with food, hiding her confusion behind a mask of innocence. Soon they walk through the bustling market, looking like any ordinary father and daughter. A local merchant eagerly presents his finest wares to the renowned master of Namgung. Despite her protests, he searches for the perfect gift while she focuses on her snacks. Her father remains oblivious, showering his future killer with unwanted gifts and affection. To the world, she is a spoiled child, but her mind craves blood. She catches him off guard with a sudden request, masking her lethal intent. Claiming she needs a moment alone, the predator prepares to leave her cage. Safely tucked away in a guest room, she sheds her innocent facade instantly. The luxurious room is merely a starting point for her secret, midnight hunt. With the grace of a ghost, she vanishes into the shadows of the city. Familiar faces from her past life appear, marking them as her first targets. Guards patrol every entrance, unaware that a monster is already among them. Even the rooftops offer no safety from the girl who shouldn't exist. Sneaking past the perimeter, she finds the perfect path to avoid prying eyes. With a burst of supernatural speed, she blurs through the open courtyard. Every second counts as she promises to finish this mission quickly for her father. Unsuspecting guards grumble about the elite forces now patrolling their once quiet territory. They wonder why the highest authorities have suddenly taken an interest in public security. Their petty bickering over stolen food hides the lethal predator closing in on them. Fear begins to set in as they realize getting caught is a death sentence. They gossip about the clan's strict formalities, unaware their lives are already forfeit. Desperate for a payout, they scramble through the shadows to reach their goal. But in this timeline, there is no escape from the girl who shouldn't exist. These low-level thugs plot a petty scheme, unaware of the monster lurking behind them. They believe the Namgung elite have left, leaving the inn ripe for intimidation. While the former clan head walks nearby, they wait for the perfect opening. A sudden, icy question stops the youngest infiltrator dead in his tracks. His eyes widen in pure terror as his heart begins to race uncontrollably. He tries to scream, but his body refuses to acknowledge his frantic mind. She strikes his vital points with the precision of a master from another age. His companions watch in stunned silence as their leader becomes a living statue. Looking down with eyes devoid of mercy, she reveals her true, terrifying power. No one escapes the girl who shouldn't exist once she targets their names. She stares down the frauds who dare to pose as noble Namgung warriors. These greedy mercenaries think they can hide their past and exploit her family. In her previous life, she knew these men as cold-blooded killers from the cult. No matter the chance given, their hearts are destined for betrayal and blood. Though she burns to execute them, the clan's reputation stays her blade for now. The lead infiltrator trembles as she grants him a mercy he does not deserve. He breathes a sigh of relief, foolishly believing he has escaped her icy wrath. Suddenly, her hand moves like a blurring phantom, forcing a mysterious pill down. He freezes in shock as the unknown substance slides effortlessly down his throat. Panic sets in as he realizes his life now belongs to the girl he underestimated. She coldly reminds the traitors that sparing their lives does not mean granting freedom. With a subtle glow, she exerts absolute control over their very heartbeats and souls. Pure terror strikes the infiltrator as he recognizes the legendary and lethal Godok curse. This parasitic bond links their fates together in a cycle of shared, agonizing pain. The heavy weight of the curse forces them to reconsider their every desperate move. She leans in with a terrifying smile, offering a lethal demonstration of her power. Overwhelmed by her presence, the men tremble and cower before their new master. Having secured their absolute loyalty through fear, she finally decides to take her leave. She walks away with the confidence of a predator who has already won. Her final warning hangs in the air, promising a brutal end for any betrayal. Her icy gaze promises a fate worse than death for those who dare betray. The traitors tremble, their blood running cold under the weight of her overwhelming killing intent. They retreat in a daze, haunted by the terrifying power of the girl they underestimated. They desperately wonder when the lethal pressure on their veins will finally be released. Inside the estate, an unnatural silence hangs heavy, signaling the arrival of a predator. The young master prepares to face the unknown, unaware of the monster behind the door. The doors fly open to reveal the girl who should have been a mere pawn. She stands perfectly still, masking her peak power behind a mask of youthful innocence. Sensing a terrifying anomaly, he quickly feigns a distraction to hide his rising panic. He realizes with horror that he couldn't hear her breathe because she is no human. She maintains her facade of innocence while the young master struggles with his suspicion. Beyond the palace walls, the winds of a new conspiracy begin to gather strength. Inside a secluded chamber, a messenger arrives with news that changes everything. A master from Manhwa kneels to report a theft that threatens the peace. He speaks of a legendary elixir stolen by a child who shouldn't exist. All trails lead directly to the Namgung estate, marking them for certain destruction. The connection to their recent attackers suggests a trap is already closing in. The clan head sits in heavy silence, sensing the weight of an invisible hand. He realizes the pieces of this puzzle are far more dangerous than they appear. A cold realization settles as they wonder if the predator is already among them. Rumors are spreading far too conveniently for this to be a mere coincidence. The pavilion master accepts that they are being forced into a desperate corner. He prepares to deliver a decree that will ignite a war between great families. The fate of the Namgung clan now rests upon the arrival of a single child. Tension thickens as the weight of an impending disaster settles over the entire sect. Meanwhile, the survivor is trapped within a hellish vision of ringing bells and blood. She fights against the corrupt energy that once bound her to a murderous path. The memory of the blood cult's power surges like a tide of pure crimson. With a sharp gasp, she breaks free from the darkness into her silent chamber. Terrified and alone, she realizes the nightmare of her past is finally catching up. The nightmare becomes reality as blood spills across the cold and shattered floor. A grave warning echoes through the silent chamber, signaling a danger that cannot be ignored. The medical chief pleads with the girl to stop hiding her self-inflicted wounds and agony. But the young survivor counters with a secret that turns the healer's blood to ice. The revelation of the lethal Blood King poison leaves the chief paralyzed with pure terror. They realize the girl has mastered sound transmission to keep their conversation hidden from spies. Beneath her fragile exterior lies the soul of a tiger, waiting to devour her enemies. The chief offers a glimmer of hope with news that could change the girl's fate. The clan leader intends to perform a legendary ritual to cleanse her corrupted internal energy. This grand technique will finally force open her meridians and awaken her true hidden power. The medical chief reveals the master's deep concern for the girl's damaged meridians. Hearing she is truly loved leaves the young survivor momentarily stunned and speechless. This legendary technique uses pure inner energy to completely rebuild a person's physical constitution. But the risks are lethal, as even a master can suffer soul-shattering chi deviation. Despite the danger, receiving such a powerful blessing feels like a gift from heaven. Success means her second-rate energy will instantly skyrocket into the ranks of the elite. She realizes this power could allow her to surpass even her own previous life. The healer teases her for finally dropping the cold act and showing real emotion. She watches with a playful smile as the girl struggles to maintain her composure. Even a fierce tiger cub looks adorable when adorned in the clan's finest ceremonial silks. She wanders the silent halls confused by the unexpected kindness of her former enemies. Every step reveals a side of the Namgung clan she never thought possible. Beneath a mask of calm, her mind races with the secrets of the future. The simple invitation to a meal feels more dangerous than any sword. Within the hall, the sounds of celebration mask a history written in blood. Brothers bicker over trivial pride, unaware of the predator standing at their door. Their laughter rings out, yet she sees only the ghosts of her past life. It is a terrifying realization to hear the voices of those she once murdered. Now she must play the role of family to the people she once destroyed. Suddenly a powerful presence appears behind her, questioning why she hesitates to enter. He asks why she remains standing alone after coming all this way. The powerful warrior admits he simply loves the sound of genuine laughter. Sharing a meal with family is a feeling he finds entirely foreign. She recalls a past where brothers only waited for a chance to kill. He wonders aloud if the death of a family member would bring sadness. His gaze turns serious as he questions the depth of her own heart. Caught off guard by his bluntness, she can only stare in confusion. Without warning, he raises his hand and prepares a sudden strike. A sharp flick to the forehead shatters her dark train of thought. Stunned by the unexpected contact, she realizes her mask has finally slipped. He explodes in anger, berating her for wasting time on such childish, pointless assumptions. Dismissing her thoughts, he bluntly suggests she focus on training her martial arts instead. She realizes that only by becoming truly powerful can she protect her remaining family. His sharp eyes narrow, questioning how she keeps returning with secret, unexplained injuries. A swordsman's hands are their life, yet she treats her own with reckless disregard. Without self-preservation, no one will ever accept the help she so desperately offers. He vows to watch her closely as she scurries away from his endless lecture. Stealing her resolve, she understands that drowning in guilt won't change her fate. Dwelling on the past is a luxury she can no longer afford in this life. Now, she must step forward and face the next trial waiting behind those doors. Kang Hyun watches with a sharp, knowing smile as the clan's destiny begins shifting. Even the seasoned elders sense a transformation brewing within the prestigious Namgung family. Within these walls, every interaction is a calculated step toward survival or total ruin. He realizes the girl returning home is no longer the helpless child he remembered. Driven by her past life's trauma, she vows to extinguish the coming internal chaos. Stepping into the light, she reintroduces herself to a world that once abandoned her. A grand feast is prepared to mask the underlying tension of her sudden return. The hierarchy is instantly shattered when she is presented as the family's true eldest. Saryong seethes with hidden bitterness, unwilling to yield his position to a stranger. A cold, reluctant greeting marks the beginning of a dangerous new power struggle. The grand feast begins as the next generation is presented to the returned lady. Young Young offers a bright greeting, unaware of the predator sitting before him. She masks her cold intent with a smile that hides 1,000 bloody secrets. Kang Hyun marvels at her growth, seeing a master where a victim once stood. Nostalgic laughter fills the hall, though the past provides no shield from the future. Every compliment from the elders is a test of her ironclad resolve and patience. A younger sister is brought forward, another innocent life caught in the coming storm. Even the child senses the terrifying power hidden behind the survivor's calm eyes. She accepts the distance, knowing true loyalty is forged in blood, not banquet halls. While the clan celebrates her return, she prepares to devour them from the inside. A small, innocent hand reaches out with a peace offering amidst the feast. Even the medical chief acknowledges the young child's sudden display of sisterly affection. Behind her sleeve, the little sister hides a shy smile from the returning survivor. The patriarch laughs, declaring that the elders must recognize her official return tomorrow. Joy fills the hall as family members promise to protect and cherish the girl. Laughter echoes through the banquet as they celebrate a reunion years in the making. But as the tea settles, the patriarch prepares to reveal a life-altering choice. The air grows cold when he announces a forbidden ritual to purge her body. Shock paralyzes the room as the weight of his terrifying words sinks in. Her ally trembles, knowing this ancient procedure could cost the survivor everything. The girl stares in disbelief, questioning if she truly heard the patriarch's insane plan. Tension suffocates the room as the elders realize the sheer danger of this ritual. Her kin pleads with the patriarch, fearing the procedure will shatter the family's pillar. But the old master snaps back, refusing to let the fear of failure stop him. Realizing his leader's mind is set, the warrior falls into a grim, silent resignation. He glances at the trembling successor, knowing their entire future hangs by a thread. Kang Hyun interjects with a nervous sweat, asking if this gift is far too deadly. The grandfather remains cold, claiming nothing is too much for his long-lost granddaughter. Desperate shouts erupt as they warn him that this divine fortune carries a curse. Yet the patriarch silences them all, declaring that family bonds outweigh any mortal risk. Kang Hyun slams the table, demanding to know why they have been ignored. The patriarch stands in cold silence, the weight of his authority crushing the room. He stares back with piercing eyes, questioning if selfish greed is driving their accusations. A heavy, suffocating silence falls over the allies as they realize their mistake. Abruptly ending the feast, the old master commands the girl to follow him immediately. She hesitates, casting a final, worried glance back at the only friends she has. The remaining warriors watch helplessly, frozen by the patriarch's overwhelming presence and fury. As they exit, the heavy doors feel like the entrance to a dark, uncertain future. Seolhwa trembles, realizing the peaceful family dinner has transformed into a psychological battlefield. The master pauses, asking if his mere presence is the source of their fear. Walking together, the old master addresses the girl's lingering anxiety about the family's reaction. He admits his coldness was a test since he never truly evaluated the potential heirs. To him, those who only scheme for power can never truly touch the heavens. Seolhwa pauses, confused by the sudden and cryptic mention of the vast sky above. He explains that the world views their clan as the sky for a specific reason. A haunting memory surfaces of warriors who chose a bloody death over a shameful surrender. She recalls the faces of those who sacrificed everything to uphold the clan's fading glory. Looking out at the horizon, she wonders why they were so devoted to their name. She questions if their legendary blue energy is the source of this divine comparison. The master cryptically corrects her, stating that her understanding of the natural order is wrong. He reveals that their blue energy flows directly from the sky's ancient martial arts. But even within one sect, a warrior's unique spirit can change their power's color. Whether yearning for twilight or night, the heart's deepest aspirations dictate their true hue. Clenching his fist, he promises to uphold a legacy as noble as the stars. True strength requires walking a righteous path that aligns with the natural heavenly order. He offers the young survivor a rare smile, grounding her amidst the heavy expectations. Overlooking their vast estate, he explains the divine burden of living a clear life. His expression darkens, pitying those who lack the discipline to reach such heights. She watches him intently, finally grasping the terrifying weight of the name she carries. Kang Hyun stands as a man resembling the heavens, bending all worlds to his will. She wonders if escaping her tragic fate is actually within her reach. Memories of the blood cult's fire and betrayal still haunt her every thought. Her mentor warns that those who stand too straight will eventually snap. She questions if a broken life can ever truly find its way back. The old warrior gazes into the distance, weighing the heavy cost of survival. He claims that compromising one's path is a fate far worse than death. As long as the roots remain, even a shattered soul can bloom again. He assures her that a preserved spirit is the only victory that matters. Clenching her hands, she prepares to grow stronger than anyone ever imagined. She died in the dirt, wondering if her fallen clan could ever rise again. But from the ashes of betrayal, a new hope begins to take root. High above the estate, her mentor watches the girl who shouldn't exist. She realizes the blood cult failed to break the spirit of her ancestors. Gazing at the horizon, she understands the heavy price paid for her life. Her mentor turns to her, questioning if she is ready for the burden ahead. He offers her a choice: reclaim her royal name or vanish into safety. Tomorrow, the Council of Elders will tell the world that the heir lives. After 8 long years, the most wanted child in the land has returned. The weight of her lineage feels like an anchor dragging her into the depths. But she refuses to let fear dictate the path of her new life. Standing before her mentor, she declares her unwavering pride in the Namgung name. He vows to become a human shield against every arrow aimed at her heart. In return, she promises to cut down anyone who dares to cross their path. High above the estate, their pact is sealed under the cold moonlight. Nearby, the disciples watch in horror, convinced the girl is training herself to death. They struggle to keep up with her pace, their bodies breaking under the strain. But she remains unwavering, correcting their flaws with the authority of a true master. She urges them to push past their limits as the final trial begins. But the weight of her expectations is crushing the disciples into the dirt. Regret fills their minds as they realize the true cost of her elite training. Every muscle screams in agony while they struggle to complete a single repetition. What was promised as guidance has turned into a hellish marathon of pure torture. Sweat pours as like rain as they reach the absolute brink of physical collapse. With one final surge of willpower, the impossible milestone is finally reached. Bodies fall like autumn leaves before the young girl who remains completely untouched. They lie broken on the ground, gasping for air in the wake of her power. A broken disciple collapses into the dirt, his body finally reaching its absolute limit. The young girl stands over him with cold indifference, asking if the task is finished. He gasps out that the 1,000 repetitions are done while his lungs begin to fail. Disbelief washes over his face as he realizes his suffering has only just begun. She casually suggests adding heavy weights to their backs to properly strengthen their weak bones. The training turns even more wicked as she demands they weigh down their thighs too. Terrified disciples beg for mercy, certain that this hellish routine will lead to their deaths. With a chillingly calm gaze, she assures them that this level of pain isn't fatal. Silence falls over the training grounds as they realize their instructor is a true monster. The exhausted disciples tremble in fear, convinced their young instructor is a literal demon. She suddenly promises that this hellish torture will turn them into elite warriors. Hope flickers in their eyes as they question if they truly possess such potential. A skeptical disciple wonders if her bold claims are backed by true certainty. Driven by the dream of power, a disciple vows to endure any hardship. The girl watches with cold indifference as more men beg to be included. He stares in disbelief, realizing how little he actually knows about real power. She stands before them as a monster who holds their entire future in her hands. The realization sinks in that they are nothing compared to her overwhelming strength. She rests her blade, having pushed everyone to their absolute breaking point today. The elite warriors lie broken on the ground as she finally ends their torment. Despite the agony, they offer their thanks for the monster's brutal but effective lessons. One warrior struggles to find his breath while acknowledging her terrifyingly superior strength. He wipes the sweat from his brow, grateful for the chance to learn. She sets the stage for tomorrow, moving the session to the official training grounds. A sudden shift in her gaze reveals she won't be a mere guest much longer. She clarifies that she is finally becoming an official member of the powerful clan. She commands him to prepare the others for the grueling path that lies ahead. She acknowledges his efforts to boost morale but knows much harder days are coming. He delivers a crushing blow to her hope, claiming their plan simply cannot succeed. She demands an explanation, but he reveals the inner hall is forever out of reach. The young survivor wonders why raw strength isn't enough to secure their rightful place. He admits that without political backing, even the strongest warriors are cast aside. For a decade, he chased that same impossible dream while watching less skilled juniors surpass him. Every failure shattered his spirit, leaving him to wonder if he was just too arrogant. He obsessed over every mistake, questioning his very foundation amidst the blood and toil. After 10 grueling years of rejection, the cold reality finally broke his remaining resolve. Cruel whispers echoed through the halls, mocking his talent because he lacked highborn status. Even sharing the same blood cannot overcome the venomous factions tearing the clan apart. He reveals the dark truth that every promotion exam is rigged from the start. The young survivor processes the weight of this systemic corruption within her own clan. In this broken system, raw martial skill has become completely irrelevant to the elders. Those without powerful connections are discarded like trash, no matter how hard they train. The exams have devolved into a bloody battlefield where factions play God with lives. Looking at the ruins of their honor, she realizes just how deep the rot goes. But her sudden declaration that things are about to change leaves him completely stunned. She carries the weight of a past life, vowing to dismantle their unfair hierarchy. All she asks is for him to never surrender his spirit to their cruelty. He accepts her challenge, knowing that enduring hardship is the one thing he masters. He trembles under her gaze, unable to hide his growing doubt and confusion. Fixing a broken clan takes time, but he vows to be her loyal anchor. Beneath the falling blossoms, she asks for nothing more than his absolute faith. A determined smile hides her plan to guide him toward his true, destined power. Heavy footsteps echo through the palace corridors as a new meeting begins to unfold. The medical chief checks her recovery, ensuring her body is ready for the storm. She offers a playful look, trying to ease the tension of their heavy situation. But the observant doctor senses a hidden anxiety lingering in the air around them. The time has finally come to announce her miraculous return to the clan elders. She is warned to ignore the vultures and walk forward with unwavering pride today. He promises to remain in the shadows while she faces the trial alone. She knows the old foxes are waiting to tear her apart today. The heavy doors creak open to reveal a room full of hidden agendas. She walks a lonely path through a hall lined with cold, judging eyes. The most powerful warriors in the clan observe her with cold, calculating suspicion. Even the highest-ranking masters cannot hide their shock at her sudden return. 8 years of absence have turned her own blood into suspicious strangers. She kneels before the throne to reclaim her place within the royal lineage. Calling him grandfather is a calculated move to shatter his icy exterior. A single drop of affection is far more dangerous than any bribe. Her heart wavers as the weight of her new family finally begins to sink in. Even the legendary masters are left speechless by her sudden, overwhelming display of sincerity. The clan leader roars with joy, granting her the one title she truly craved. Standing alone in the grand hall, she realizes her calculated gamble actually worked. She bows before the powerful warriors who once viewed her as a complete stranger. The first elder acknowledges her return, his cold mask finally beginning to crack. Tears stream down weathered faces as the clan's oldest members remember their lost child. Laughter fills the room, marking a blessing the family hasn't seen in many years. Even the head of the disciplinary hall invites her into his inner circle. The finance chief weeps with relief, realizing her return saved the clan a fortune. The head of the outer hall greets her with a suspiciously warm, familiar smile. She stands before the elite combat leaders who hold the clan's true military might. Every face in the room masks their true intentions behind a layer of kindness, but she knows better than to believe the lies hidden within their welcoming eyes. In this den of vipers, she wonders who she can actually afford to trust. She reminds herself to stay calm and observe before making her next move. To survive, she must face these powerful masters head-on without showing any weakness. The clan leader declares that their lost child has finally returned after 8 years. He demands that the entire world hear the news of the Namgung family's restoration. A single hand on her shoulder marks the beginning of her dangerous new life. The patriarch orders the granaries open to celebrate his lost daughter's grand return. Every warrior in the hall bows in submission to their master's absolute command. He warns the world that the Namgung family will never be broken again. Powerful masters watch in silence, weighing the political shift this girl represents. A sea of followers prostrates themselves, swearing eternal loyalty to the bloodline. Amidst the thunderous cheers, the young survivor remains haunted by her secret past. The clan sees their future savior, but she only sees a coming war. Her journey leads to the Yungxia Pavilion, a place of ancient beauty and secrets. The medical chief guides her through the sprawling estate that is now her home. She learns her massive new quarters once belonged to a grandmother who loved life. The girl gazes at the legendary pavilion her grandfather personally gifted to her. Pure white blossoms surround her, a sign of her grandfather's protective love. High-ranking officials arrive to greet the girl who now holds the clan's future. A humble servant offers to guide her through the secrets of her new home. Outside, two powerful masters clash over their right to see the young lady. The chief steward fumes at the Lord of Bipung for his constant interference. Kang Hyun mocks the rigid rules, claiming he only wants to see the kid. Their petty bickering masks the true political weight resting on the girl's shoulders. The master taunts the steward, accusing him of being jealous of their bond. Despite their strength, these legendary warriors descend into a comical fit of rage. A tense meeting between powerful masters is suddenly interrupted by an unexpected arrival. The medical chief returns with the girl whose presence changes everything for the clan. The steward immediately drops his guard, bowing deeply to the clan's first young master. He turns his attention to the young lady, offering a warm and humble greeting. Despite her legendary status, the girl remains polite, bowing to the loyal old servant. But a sudden glimmer in the distance catches her eye, sparking a moment of confusion. A massive cart overflowing with gold and rare elixirs sits before the stunned child. This staggering fortune is merely a gift from the Lord to welcome her home. The steward insists she accepts it all, claiming it is her long-overdue birthright. He begins tossing aside solid gold bars, searching for something even more precious. The steward presents the finest silks, ensuring she never has to toil again. Next comes a hoard of rare elixirs, powerful enough to reshape her very foundation. But the true masterpiece remains hidden within a small, unassuming wooden box. As the lid opens, a blinding radiance leaves the young girl completely speechless. Exquisite jewels and floral hairpins shimmer with a light that defies all logic. These were personally chosen by the clan leader, a father's long-awaited tribute. Overwhelmed by such sudden affection, she stares at the gifts in stunned silence. The steward even admits to using force against the treasury head to secure them. Yet, a sudden wave of anxiety hits him as he misreads her quiet reaction. A seasoned warrior interjects, claiming her stoic face shows absolutely no joy. The seasoned warrior sighs, claiming the steward truly understands nothing about a fighter's heart. He produces his own gift, a long object hidden beneath humble, travel-worn wrappings. With a triumphant smile, he offers it as a personal welcome back to reality. The young survivor takes the weight, sensing a dormant power vibrating through the cloth. Her breath hitches as she realizes this is no mere decoration, but a weapon. She asks if she may draw the steel, her instinct screaming that this is special. Steeling her resolve, she prepares to release the energy locked within the scabbard. The moment the metal clears the wood, a brilliant, cold radiance fills the air. It is a blade of pure killing intent, shimmering with an otherworldly, lethal grace. Holding the masterpiece, she knows this sword will be the key to her survival. Kang Hyun reveals the blade is forged from the legendary and rare Hancheol ore. The young survivor stares in disbelief, wondering if such a treasure is truly hers. While others watch with envy, she can hardly contain her excitement for the gift. He offers a warm pat on the head, satisfied to see her genuine joy. With a nostalgic smile, the master admits this was once his own personal weapon. She looks up with newfound respect, realizing the weight of the legacy she holds. He officially passes the mantle, declaring her the new master of the thunderous steel. Surrounded by a peaceful aura, she softly asks if the majestic blade has a name. It is Manhwa, a name signifying 10,000 bolts of devastating lightning. She asks to test the blade, unaware he spent all night sharpening its edge. Kang, Hyun warns her to stay safe while testing her new power in private. He watches in disbelief as she vanishes before he can even finish his sentence. The steward stands frozen, shocked that a mere child can already tread the air. Despite being ignored, he finds solace in seeing the young lady's genuine happiness. A mountain of gold glitters, yet he feels his offerings are still not enough. He commands the servants to move the treasures into her personal quarters immediately. Suddenly, a frantic call from a subordinate breaks his momentary peace. Word arrives of a mysterious new gift intended for the clan's returned daughter. Suspicion grows when the messenger admits the sender remains a complete mystery. Someone is moving far too fast, targeting her only hours after her public return. The steward ponders the mysterious gift left by an unknown, vanishing messenger. Within the silent training grounds, the atmosphere thickens with a sudden, sharp energy. She leaps through the sky, her blade carving through the wind like a predator. Every step is weightless, as if gravity itself has finally surrendered to her. The hilt fits her palm perfectly, a weapon destined for her hand alone. A confident smile emerges as she carves a brilliant path through the air. She feels the soul of the blade, knowing it was forged specifically for her. Behold, Manhwa, the blade said to command the fury of 10,000 lightning bolts. With this divine weapon, even the most legendary names will fall before her. Her gaze burns with a new power, feeling capable of severing any obstacle. A colossal, demonic hand looms over her, threatening to crush her very soul. She moves like a flash of lightning, refusing to be caught by fate. Surrendering to the sword's fierce energy, she dances within the palm of death. Every strike draws an unbroken path, moving freely through the chaotic air. She cuts through the darkness again and again, advancing with relentless precision. Her focus narrows as the weight of the legendary blade tests her limits. A final, blinding arc of energy shatters the illusion of her weakness. Gasping for air, she feels the raw power still vibrating within her veins. Looking at the divine steel, she realizes its original name is simply wrong. It is Manhwa, the blade that overflows with a power beyond all measure. She lands with a heavy impact, ready to derail the blood demon's ultimate plan. With a desperate swing, she strives to carve out a new path for destiny. Suddenly, a precious vase shatters, signaling a break in the clan's fragile peace. In the shadows of the manor, a jealous relative seethes over the shifting power. She views the gold and silver as nothing more than signs of her father's weakness. Reaching for her tea, she calmly plans her next move against the new arrival. Her eyes glow with resentment while speaking of the girl who finally returned home. She questions the steward, forcing him to acknowledge the changing atmosphere within the walls. He confirms the Lord's deep adoration for the survivor, fueling the woman's growing rage. A sudden, violent strike against the table marks the beginning of a new war. The steward trembles, reporting that the Lord granted the girl a legendary gift. His mistress scoffs, claiming her own kin already stands alone at the top. He nervously agrees that no disciple can hope to match the young master. A chilling silence fills the room as she compares the newcomer to an earthworm. The steward freezes when she demands he show everyone exactly where they stand. She calmly sips her tea, counting down the days until the grand festival begins. Looking down from her throne of spite, she questions the progress of their plans. Sweat beads on his brow as he promises that everything will proceed without failure. She knows that in 2 weeks, no amount of luck can change a parasite. Her gaze sharpens into a threat, warning him never to let an earthworm rise. The survivor stares in silence as a shadow of dread falls over the room. A mysterious wooden token marked with 12 lies waiting like a death sentence. Her father reveals that a stranger left this ominous gift among the clan grain. She demands to know if the messenger was captured before they could escape. The steward bows low, confirming the carrier was just a paid pawn under serum. Looking down at the artifact, she realizes the peaceful days are officially over. The clan leader asks if she recognizes the mark of their hidden enemy. She is irritated that her return has already drawn the attention of monsters. This is the calling card of the 12 Moon Assassins from the Blood Demon. Their arrival signals a war where every single thing they built is at stake. Faceless killers have issued a challenge that can only end in total slaughter. She realizes the enemy is demanding a duel, where only one side survives. Her heart races knowing the bloodthirsty summons is meant for her alone. She desperately argues that she must face the monsters to save her family. The survivor insists on resolving this nightmare personally to keep the clan safe. Her father reminds her that a child of Namgung never stands alone. He declares that the entire family shares the duty of protecting their own. Even as she pleads to leave, her father's protective resolve remains unshakable. With a single command, the clan leader silences her protests and asserts his authority. He refuses to let her walk into danger, despite the curse silencing her truth. The clan leader commands his steward to prepare for the coming storm. Ancient artifacts are brought forth to secure the family's future. This mysterious wooden tablet holds a secret that could change everything. Even with her mentor's support, the survivor's heart remains heavy with dread. She knows the enemy is closer than anyone dares to imagine. Every clue points toward a bloodthirsty scheme orchestrated by the 12 Moons. Stepping forward, she reveals a desperate plan to trap the true mastermind. Her father refuses to let her risk her life in such madness. She begs him to listen before the entire clan is wiped out. The heavy silence in the room signals a choice that will haunt them. The patriarch finally caves, acknowledging his daughter's unwavering and dangerous stubbornness. He demands to hear her plan, finally giving her the chance to speak. As the sun sets over the estate, the weight of their conversation lingers. Walking through the courtyard, her father cannot hide his overwhelming sense of dread. He warns her that even if she is unharmed, being a target is enough. He laments that a child so young has already endured such soul-crushing hardship, but she knows that survival in this life requires doing what must be done. Turning to him, she reveals her desire to master a power beyond her years. She asks to learn the clan's secret mind method to prepare for war. With the blood sect moving, she must cultivate her internal energy immediately. Nobak hesitates, suggesting the girl wait to train with others her age. But the survivor grabs her hands, insisting that her training begins immediately. One look into those pleading eyes and all resistance from the mentor crumbles. Yielding to her determination, she lifts the child and agrees to start now. They move into the quiet sanctuary of the clan's private meditation hall. Sitting behind her, Nobak prepares to guide the girl's chaotic internal energy. A cold, ethereal aura begins to swirl as the ancient technique is activated. Placing her hands firmly on her back, she begins the delicate energy transfer. This secret mind method serves as the absolute foundation for all Namgung martial arts. Pure energy from the heavens floods into her, awakening a long-dormant power. The sky itself descends, surrounding the very ground they walk upon. Every breath they take draws in the invisible power of the shifting wind. The young survivor feels the atmosphere condensing into a heavy, glowing aura. Behind her, the mentor channels a harmonious energy that defies all natural logic. She explains that mastering the heavens is the secret to the clan's absolute power. Suddenly, the legendary divine art erupts, flooding the hall with a blinding blue light. This ancient force awakens a dormant potential hidden deep within the girl's soul. Violent waves of pure essence crash against the walls of the meditation sanctuary. Her mentor whispers for her to track the current through every single meridian. With one final push, the transfer of this godlike power is finally complete. The young survivor channels a flawless flow, perfectly following her mentor's instructions. Nobek watches in awe as the girl guides the energy with impossible precision. Suddenly the technique shifts, aggressively consuming the spiritual essence of everyone nearby. The medical chief recoils as the girl's power spirals beyond any known limit. A cold sweat breaks as she realizes the monster she is truly awakening. A pillar of violent, untamed energy erupts, threatening to shatter the entire sanctuary. This ancient force feels like a starving beast finally tasting freedom after centuries. Slowly, the chaotic pressure recedes, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. She opens her eyes, revealing a gaze that has seen the end of worlds. Her mentor tentatively asks if the dangerous transformation is finally complete. The medical chief stares in disbelief at the girl's impossible understanding of their arts. She demands to know if this child truly mastered a technique from one glance. The young survivor tilts her head, unaware of the storm she just unleashed. In this world, martial mastery is measured by 12 distinct, grueling stages of power. The 10th stage is perfection, but the 12th is where a master becomes godlike. Reaching even the 3rd stage usually takes a genius years of blood and sweat. The mentor exhales a weary sigh, her mind struggling to process this divine talent. She reveals that the girl has already ascended to the 3rd stage of cultivation. What takes the world's greatest prodigies a year, she conquered in 2 hours. A cold realization hits as she faces a monster that defies every law of nature. The medical chief realizes she is witnessing a miracle beyond human comprehension. This girl is a once-in-a-generation talent, destined to rewrite martial history. Meanwhile, across the bustling streets, new players enter the grand stage. Mysterious travelers move through the crowd, hiding their true identities under straw hats. They arrive in Hefei, the heart of power where legends are born. A hidden master of the Huashan sect smiles at the city's vibrant energy. He warns his eager disciple that they aren't here for simple sightseeing. Their presence draws curious glances as they navigate the busy marketplace. The master quickly silences the boy's loud mouth to avoid unwanted attention. The top disciple is reminded to keep their secret missions strictly under wraps. The young disciple flashes a confident smile as he accepts his master's hidden orders. As the Huashan sect's top disciple, he is ready to prove his worth. They blend into the crowd, seeking a place to rest before the storm begins. From beneath his hat, the master observes the city that hides 1,000 secrets. As night falls over the capital, the sound of heavy wheels echoes through the streets. A grand carriage arrives, carrying the weight of a clan's long-awaited hope. Whispers spread like wildfire about the lady who returned after 8 years in exile. Every rotation of the wheels brings the Namgung family closer to their destiny. The citizens rejoice as they spot another legend returning to his rightful home. The first young master rides in, signaling a new era of peace for the clan. A shadow lurks in the darkness, watching the grand estate with murderous intent. Hidden behind a veil, the silent observer prepares for a strike no one expects. Little does he know, the girl eating sweets is actually the ultimate bait. Deep within the clan walls, the trio discusses a plan that defies all logic. Kang Hyun ponders if their secret enemies will truly fall for such a trap. He questions if stepping outside the city will finally force monsters into the light. With a calculated move, the pieces of their dangerous game begin to shift. Even with the clan leader moving, the enemy remains a ghost in the wind. Hyun laughs, wondering if this child possesses true courage or just pure recklessness. But beneath her innocent gaze lies a power that will soon set the world ablaze. Suddenly, the mighty warrior collapses, as a lethal shadow takes hold of his body. Kang Hyun gasps in agony, clutching his face while his vision begins to fade. He realizes too late that the simple tea they shared was laced with poison. The medical chief and the young girl watch in absolute horror as life slips away. Desperate questions race through his mind as he wonders who could have betrayed them. The table becomes a tomb as the clan's strongest ally falls before their eyes. His fingers lose their grip as his consciousness is dragged into the dark. A heavy stillness descends upon the room as their last hope lies broken. The girl desperately shakes him, pleading for the man to open his eyes. A terrifying heartbeat is the only sound left as the poison takes full control. The medical chief reveals the shocking truth behind the warrior's sudden collapse. She boasts that her medicine worked perfectly to knock him out as planned. But even an expert healer fears the wrath of a master when he awakens. Clad in shadows, the young miss prepares to step into a dangerous game. The doctor makes a swift exit, hoping to avoid any blame for this betrayal. A heavy silence lingers as the weight of their secret plan finally sinks in. Poised like a predator, the girl readies herself to strike from the darkness. Her mentor warns that going alone is a suicide mission she cannot win. She reminds the survivor that no one can carry the world's burdens forever. Donning her mask, the girl vanishes into the night to rewrite her tragic fate. A shadow flickers across the moonlit bridge, moving faster than the eye can follow. Over the rooftops she glides, a ghost haunting the clan that once failed her. Silence is her only companion, as she descends into the heart of the forbidden forest. The leaves scream under the pressure of her speed, yet she leaves no trail behind. Behind that mask lies a soul who has already seen the end of the world. Every step is a calculated gamble against a fate she refuses to accept again. With her blade secured, she prepares to face the monsters lurking in the deep brush. Her blue eyes pierce the gloom, searching for the first sign of the coming slaughter. A sudden rustle in the canopy warns that she is no longer alone out here. The enemy has arrived, and this time, she will be the one doing the hunting. She realizes the ambush is closing in from both the front and the back. Her blue eyes sharpen as the first strike whistles through the midnight air. A deafening metallic clang rings out as she intercepts the hidden lethal projectile. The gleam of a throwing knife reveals the cowardly nature of her invisible assailant. She twists her body with impossible grace to avoid the next wave of steel. Every parry sends blinding sparks flying into the shadows of the dark forest. A rain of daggers descends, aimed precisely at her most vital pressure points. She kicks off the ground to maintain her momentum against the relentless onslaught. The world blurs as she dives beneath the whistling path of certain death. She narrows her gaze, deducing the identity of the master behind these deadly blades. Her grip tightens as the hidden predator finally reveals his lethal intent. She unleashes a blinding strike to tear through the suffocating darkness. A pillar of raw energy erupts, signaling the start of a deadly confrontation. She lands gracefully, eyes scanning the shadows for the source of the attack. With cold determination, she demands the coward step out into the light. The forest remains silent, yet the presence of a master lurks nearby. A mocking smile appears as a familiar voice calls her by name. She turns in shock, realizing her stealth was compromised from the beginning. The mysterious Powell stands before her, radiating an aura of overwhelming confidence. Their history is written in blood, far beyond the need for simple greetings. Powell admits he was delighted to hear she finally betrayed the Tower Master. She remains cold and unimpressed, showing no interest in his petty games. His murderous intent flares as he prepares to end her life right here. He mocks her status, claiming her rise to power was nothing but a mistake. The assassin wonders if taking her place is the key to his own ascension. He strikes from the air, desperate to win the sect leader's long-awaited favor. A blinding flash of steel erupts as she counters his reckless downward assault. She glares back, disgusted by the jealousy that has poisoned his very soul. Their powers collide in a shockwave of energy that illuminates the dark forest. Neither side yields as their blades lock in a desperate struggle for survival. Sparks fly as their blades lock in a fierce display of martial prowess. He retreats momentarily, his breathing heavy as he stares down his opponent. She remains unmoved, stating that his desire for attention is beneath her. The warrior snarls, unable to handle the weight of her absolute indifference. He bellows that she only survives because of his master's divine mercy. Her eyes narrow behind the mask, ridiculing the very idea of his mercy. A cold glint reflects off the steel as she prepares her next strike. The entire world turns crimson as their killing intent floods the clearing. She exposes his weakness, calling him a mindless animal tethered to a leash. Her focus shifts to the mental suggestion keeping him in this state. She calls out to the only man who truly knows her dark secret. He draws his blade, finally accepting her challenge with lethal intent. With a cold gesture, she dares the warrior to show his true power. Steel clashes against steel as their deadly dance begins in the moonlight. He presses the attack, closing the distance to negate her superior reach. His suffocating proximity leaves her with no room to breathe or counter. She realizes that a long blade doesn't require wide, sweeping movements. A subtle twist of her wrist aims to disarm his aggressive onslaught. A blinding flash of energy erupts as she finally finds her opening. Her eyes narrow with lethal focus, ready to end this desperate struggle. The forest erupts in sparks as two shadows collide in a lethal high-speed duel. Powell taunts her, asking if she truly understands the gravity of her situation. She counters with a cold reminder of his past failures and lack of control. Her piercing blue eyes lock onto him, declaring that he has never been weaker. The psychological blow lands perfectly, leaving the seasoned assassin visibly shaken and sweating. He desperately tries to reclaim the momentum with a frantic and heavy parried strike. Masking his fear with a twisted grin, he mocks her cryptic words of warning. The tension reaches a breaking point as he prepares to call her supposed bluff. Screaming in a fit of rage, Powell descends like a predator to end the debate. Steel meets steel once more, but her unwavering gaze suggests the trap is set. Wounds from bloodlust do not heal easily, he warns with a chilling, predatory gaze. He dismisses her survival as if her life means absolutely nothing to him. Infusing his blade with killing intent, he prepares a slow and agonizing end. He wants her to feel every drop of vitality drain during her final moments. He unleashes the lethal broken engagement dagger technique, descending like a dark shadow. A blinding flash of speed cuts through the air with terrifying, lethal precision. Steel screams against steel as she barely blocks his overwhelming and savage momentum. The forest erupts in a storm of sparks from their relentless high-speed exchange. Every strike is a dance with death, pushing both warriors to their absolute limits. Impressed by her tenacity, he ignites his blade for the final, finishing blow. She plunges into the fray, her blade a desperate prayer against an impossible foe. A cold flash of steel bites deep into her leg, halting her momentum instantly. She reels from the impact, blood spraying as the pain blinds her vision. Their blades collide in a thunderous explosion of killing intent and raw power. She tumbles through a lethal energy web, narrowly escaping a final, killing blow. Her opponent wears a sickening grin, savoring the scent of her impending defeat. Every desperate parry pushes her body past its breaking point as the pressure mounts. She grips her hilt with trembling hands, pouring every ounce of strength into one strike. Her blade pierces his chest, ending the fight in a spray of crimson blood. He collapses in shock, cursing the girl who just rewrote his fate with blood. The forest erupts as a devastating shockwave tears through the midnight silence. A choked cry echoes through the trees as the force of the impact lands. Fresh crimson stains the soil, marking the end of a once unstoppable predator. Powell collapses into the dirt, his pride shattered alongside his broken body. He gasps for air, unable to believe he was bested by a mere girl. He finally realizes her infiltration into the clan was never a simple game. She stands before him, a terrifying wolf finally shedding her innocent sheep's clothing. A murderous aura of pure death radiates from her, chilling the very air. Her knuckles whiten as she prepares to silence the man who knows too much. Standing over her broken enemy, she coldly reminds him of his true place. The hunt is far from over as she tightens her grip on fate. Suddenly, the haunting chime of golden bells echoes through the deathly silent forest. Footsteps falter as a hidden trap is triggered beneath the shifting shadows. A violent eruption of white smoke consumes the battlefield in an instant. She desperately shields her eyes from the blinding, suffocating mist. This is no ordinary smoke but a lethal sedative designed to paralyze. Blood stains the earth as the predator realizes the tables have turned. The golden bells lie abandoned, a grim omen of the coming chaos. A flash of pure white energy tears through the darkness like a lightning strike. Wounded and desperate, Powell flees into the night before death can claim him. Powell flees in terror as the blood curse ravages his failing body. A lethal blade whistles through the air with murderous intent. A devastating strike from above crushes the assassin into the earth. He vomits blood as his internal organs succumb to the overwhelming pressure. His trembling hand reaches for a weapon that can no longer save him. Gasping for air, the predator becomes the prey in this dark forest. Fear clouding his eyes, he realizes he has finally met his match. The survivor emerges from the shadows to return his discarded blade. He begs for mercy from the very monster he tried to hunt. She coldly reminds him that his death was decided from the start. Terrified of his impending end, the assassin begs for a single moment of mercy. Instead of a killing blow, a precise strike rattles his very soul. The survivor stands over her prey with eyes colder than any winter frost. With surgical precision, her fingers find the exact points to stop the carnage. He gasps in agony as his internal energy is forced into submission. Confusion replaces terror when he realizes the Reaper has stopped her scythe. To his utter shock, the lethal bleeding begins to slow under her touch. He can only watch in disbelief as his supposed executioner becomes his savior. She reminds him that he was the one who pleaded for his life. She spares his life only to defy the destiny written by a hidden mastermind. Powell realizes he is merely a pawn in the Blood Demon's grand game. The massive fortress of Huauru was never a home, only a gilded cage. She orders him to survive, delivering a message to the master who abandoned him. Turning her back on the past, she declares she will never return to them. Powell stares in shock, unable to comprehend her sudden mercy and new path. Despite her saving him, she coldly reminds him they are still sworn enemies. A heavy silence falls over the dark forest as the wind begins to howl. He wonders why she was always the one chosen for greatness and favor. Desperation claws at his soul as he grips the earth with trembling fingers. His voice breaks with envy, screaming at the unfairness of their divergent destinies. She warns him not to mistake her cold mercy for genuine kindness. Standing over the broken hunter, she questions if they are truly different. He remains slumped in the dirt, discarded by the master he once served. Turning her back, she admits they are both just tools meant for destruction. Her eyes reflect the grim truth of their shared and inevitable end. Amidst the shadows, she declares they are both trapped in the same boat. The assassin flinches as she suddenly produces the hidden golden amulets. She clenches the artifacts, realizing these items hold a terrifying power over him. With a piercing gaze, she demands the secret to shattering the hypnotic seal. Terrified and broken, he swears he was never told how the gift works. She realizes the blood demon used the assassin as a mere sacrificial pawn. The broken hunter trembles, wondering why he was trusted with such dangerous secrets. But a sudden chill takes hold as she senses a fatal mistake. The world begins to spin, her vision blurring into a haze of shadows. Lethal sleeping toxins finally take their toll, dragging her into a forced slumber. She commands the hunter to flee and deliver her final warning next month. He stares in disbelief as his supposed executioner grants him a second chance. Stumbling into the depths of the forest, she struggles to stay upright. Her footing falters as the darkness closes in around her weary body. A sharp presence cuts through the fog, signaling that she is not alone. A shadow looms over the fallen hunter, as the survivor watches in silent horror. The man she just spared lies broken, his life spilling onto the cold earth. A familiar voice cuts through the night, mocking the twisted path fate has taken. Her heart stops as she recognizes the face of a ghost from her past. The legendary assassin bows low, offering a chilling greeting to his young master. This is Sangwol, the blood demon's most lethal blade and master of hidden moons. He addresses her as the vice cult leader, revealing a secret she desperately buried. Confusion clouds her mind as he mentions a gift she never asked to receive. He gestures to the dying hunter, apologizing for breaking her new plaything so easily. If she intended to let him live, the cult's orders were strictly the opposite. The legendary assassin bows before his new master, while their prey lies broken. Terror paralyzes her as she realizes the Namgung clan cannot hope to match him. He sneers at her lineage, calling the great warriors nothing more than helpless kittens. Defying the cult leader's summons, she draws her blade for a hopeless final stand. Her gaze hardens with a cold resolve as she refuses to ever return home. The killer remains unmoved, coldly stating that her wishes are entirely irrelevant now. Suddenly, a monstrous crimson aura explodes from her fragile and failing body. Even the elite master is shaken by the sheer weight of her murderous intent. Admitting his mistake, he prepares a lethal technique to silence her defiant spirit. With one crushing motion, he begins to extinguish her desperate surge of power. Pawal suddenly ends the confrontation, choosing to withdraw rather than finish the job. Her parting words carry a strange weight, urging the young warrior to stay alive. Before he can respond, she vanishes into the night like a haunting phantom. Left alone in the silence, the weight of his survival begins to sink in. He stumbles forward, wondering why such a monster would ever let him walk away. The bitter truth hurts more than his wounds. He simply isn't a threat yet. With his pride shattered, he forces his trembling body to return to the Namgung. Every step is a struggle as the exhaustion finally threatens to claim his consciousness. He focuses on the path ahead, driven by a desperate need to reach safety. But a sudden, blurry figure in the distance stops him dead in his tracks. His legs finally give out as the weight of the night takes its toll. Every ounce of strength leaves his broken body as he stumbles into the dark. With a heavy thud, the young warrior collapses onto the cold, unforgiving earth. His vision blurs and his eyes grow heavy, surrendering to the creeping exhaustion. Through the haze, a mysterious figure approaches his unconscious form like a silent ghost. Suddenly, a dark memory of a blood-soaked past flashes through his fading mind. A young girl stands trembling over a sea of bodies she was forced to kill. She is scolded for her hesitation, warned that pity is a fatal weakness. Her master looms over the carnage, demanding she leave no soul alive. A bloody hand reaches out, cementing the cruel lesson that she must kill to survive. A single leaf drifts down, resting upon the face of the fallen warrior. His eyes slowly flutter open as the morning air breaks his deep slumber. He realizes he is draped in a robe bearing a mysterious crimson crest. Sunlight begins to pierce through the thick canopy of the surrounding ancient forest. Panic sets in as he realizes he has been unconscious for far too long. Confusion clouds his mind while he tries to piece together his current situation. The emblem on the fabric belongs to the legendary and powerful Manhwa sect. Horror strikes when he discovers his hands and feet are now tightly bound. A shadow looms over him as a stranger notices he is finally awake. The mysterious man smiles warmly, remarking that his captive's health has finally returned. The young stranger approaches with a smile, checking if the captive spent a warm night. He sits comfortably, ignoring the cold suspicion radiating from the bound survivor. Desperate for answers, Kang Hyun demands to know if a ruthless master sent him. The boy pauses, realizing his presence here might actually be a secret from everyone. He admits to sneaking out for a night of fun before crossing paths with him. When ordered to untie the bindings, the stranger flatly refuses the dangerous request. He stares into Kang Hyun's eyes, seeing the unmistakable mark of a cold-blooded killer. The survivor tries to deny his lethal nature, but his aura tells a different story. Covered in blood and radiating murderous intent, his true identity seems painfully obvious. Despite the captive's protests, the boy insists that such dangerous behavior simply isn't allowed. Kang Hyun demands to know why a cold-blooded killer would ever be spared. His captor admits he originally planned to hand the prisoner over to the authorities. A single finger points toward a secret that was never meant to be discovered. The mysterious warrior looms over the captive with a sudden and chilling realization. He boldly identifies the prisoner as the hidden survivor of the legendary Namgung clan. The secret identity of the fallen house is finally dragged into the light. Pure fury consumes the captive as he realizes he has been toyed with. A dark and murderous intent radiates from the man who was just insulted. The master quickly panics, explaining he only confirmed the truth through an energy test. Kang Hyun demands his freedom, his eyes burning with a terrifying, murderous intent. Freed from his bonds, the survivor sits with an unsettling and silent composure. The master offers a frantic apology, sensing the shift in the boy's aura. He tries to justify his actions while the air grows heavy with impending doom. Suddenly, the boy lunges forward with speed that defies the laws of nature. The master is caught completely off guard by the sheer ferocity of the strike. A violent explosion of blue energy shatters the silence of the training grounds. The devastating impact leaves the ground cratered and the air filled with dust. Trembling, the master realizes he is facing a force he can no longer control. The master stares in disbelief at the impossible technique manifesting before his eyes. A blinding flash of power erupts as the boy's hidden potential finally explodes. Kang Hyun moves like a shadow, weaving through the air with lethal grace. His hands glow with a cold blue light, ready to deliver a finishing blow. Desperate to survive, the master raises his arms against the crushing wave of energy. The two warriors collide in a violent storm of blue and red spiritual pressure. Hyun pierces through the master's defenses with a strike that shatters his resolve. The impact sends the once feared teacher flying backward into the jagged stone. Broken and defeated, the master can only cough as his life force fades. Blood drips from his mouth as he stares in absolute awe at the overwhelming power. Fear is replaced by pure admiration as he realizes he just witnessed a true monster. The tension breaks when he realizes his secret identity has finally been exposed. The mysterious girl watches him coldly, waiting for the truth to finally surface. He offers a formal greeting, revealing himself as the elite disciple of Manhwa. But even an elite warrior has secrets he is not ready to share just yet. She realizes the powerful Manhwa sect has arrived far earlier than she anticipated. Desperate to avoid his master's wrath, the young warrior begs for a small favor. She walks away in silence, knowing exactly why his master would want him dead. Yugang desperately begs for his life after claiming he saved her earlier. She coldly dismisses his debt, declaring that they are finally even. Though she cannot help him now, she offers an invitation to the Namgung clan. With a heavy blade at her side, she prepares to leave him behind. He wonders if their paths will truly cross again in that distant land. Brimming with excitement, he challenges her to a duel between true swordmasters. His dreams are instantly crushed by her blunt and heartless rejection. A mysterious smile plays on her lips as she offers one final condition. She demands he grow stronger before he ever dares to face her again. Yugang stands frozen as the reality of her power finally sinks in. A single encounter has completely shattered his understanding of the martial world. He grips his robes tightly, feeling a strange new emotion take hold. The atmosphere shifts as cherry blossoms dance around his sudden realization. His heart races, wondering if this overwhelming strength is actually beautiful. Meanwhile, at the clan gates, the guards sense an approaching storm. They peer into the distance, confused by the presence of a lone figure. Rumors of Lady Sealwa's return spark immediate disbelief among the watchers. Then, pure terror strikes as they recognize the monster they once knew. The heavy news of the lady's return spreads like wildfire through the sect grounds. She walks through the crowd with an aura that demands absolute silence and fear. Disciples tremble as they witness a presence they never expected to see again. The air grows thick with the suffocating scent of countless lives she has taken. Every step brings her closer to the man who holds her fate in his hands. She stands before the throne, her gaze devoid of the warmth she once possessed. With a cold bow, she formally announces her survival to the shock of everyone. The monster they created finally returns home to face her own blood. Her grandfather stares back, realizing the innocent child he knew is gone forever. The silence of the inner chamber masks a terrifying truth about the recent infiltration. Even the sect's greatest masters were neutralized, without a single sign of struggle. The lack of evidence suggests this was no ordinary kidnapping but a calculated move. Facing her grandfather, the young survivor remains frozen in a heavy, suffocating silence. She finally breaks, confessing that her deception was meant to shield them from danger. He gently takes her hands, reminding her that her own safety matters most. The old leader questions if he has truly become someone she can no longer trust. He demands to know why she chose to carry this crushing burden all alone. With a cold clarity, she admits she feared they would never let her go. The elder declares that even forced restraint would have been an act of protection. She refuses to hide like a coward while her family faces certain doom. Returning home wasn't about seeking safety but preparing for the inevitable war. The elder knows the prophecy. Namgung will fall by its own blood-stained hands. Ready to face his wrath, she offers herself up for any brutal punishment. Her only request is that her strength remains unbound for the coming fight. A chilling promise follows as she vows to survive against all impossible odds. He exhales a heavy sigh, crushed by the weight of her terrifying resolve. The old man snaps, warning her never to speak of death so lightly. Realizing she cannot be tamed, he finally accepts her path of total defiance. If she chooses the battlefield, she must first agree to 3 unbreakable conditions. She listens intently as the elder begins laying down his final unbreakable conditions. He demands she never act alone or deceive the clan elders ever again. The second decree is clear. She must remain under constant protection at all times. Until she reaches the pinnacle of her power, she must accept the clan's shield. Then, the old master reaches out, beginning the most unexpected condition of all. He vows that no matter what happens, he will never physically harm her. Stunned by his mercy, she realizes this isn't the brutal punishment she expected. He explains that true discipline is meant to guide a child, not break them. Looking into her eyes, he pleads for her to finally place her trust in him. His final wish is simple. She must never carry her heavy burdens alone again. The weight of the past finally breaks through her cold, assassin exterior. She is reminded that despite the blood on her hands, they are still family. A trembling hand reaches out, desperate to bridge the gap between them. She grips his robe tightly, refusing to let this moment of mercy vanish. Looking up at her grandfather, the survivor finally lets her guard down completely. She begs for his help, admitting she can no longer carry this burden alone. Silence falls over the ancient estate as a new destiny begins to take shape. The clan leader walks away, carrying the heavy responsibility of his granddaughter's future. He asks about her condition, his voice filled with a rare, genuine concern. Nearby, the Namgung survivor waits, knowing the true battle for her soul has started. The elder orders rest for the girl, his voice heavy with hidden exhaustion. Yugang stops his father, sensing a deeper storm brewing within the clan. He pleads for a private moment to reveal the poisonous whispers spreading outside. Vicious accusations echo through the estate, claiming the girl was merely a spy. Malicious rumors spread like wildfire, painting her as a deceptive thief of secrets. The clan leader demands a full report, his eyes narrowing with cold suspicion. Yugang explains that the clan's certainty regarding her guilt feels unnaturally forced. He questions how such detailed lies could surface so quickly after her disappearance. The elder agrees, realizing the backlash is far too calculated for mere coincidence. In his eyes, a hidden hand is clearly orchestrating the clan's internal collapse. The elder realizes someone is pulling the strings to incite this internal war. Both men are left questioning the identity of the mastermind behind the shadows. Yugang is paralyzed with shock as the elder reveals Seilhwa's hidden resolve. To protect her path, the leader demands they bolster the clan's fractured strength. In a sudden twist, he commands Yugang to take the throne immediately. He berates his son's powerlessness, blaming his weakness for the spreading lies. Yugang trembles with shame, haunted by the 8 years he spent away. The cold patriarch grants a final ultimatum, giving him only 6 months. He must earn the clan's recognition before the official succession ceremony begins. If he remains this pathetically weak, he will lose everything he holds dear. The patriarch drops a bombshell, naming Yugang as the unexpected heir to everything. Left alone in the massive hall, the weight of the crown feels like lead. He questions his own worth, drowning in the sudden pressure of his new destiny. The elder explains that others have been blinded by their own insatiable greed. With a violent strike to the table, he dismisses the hot-headed rivals as failures. Although he possesses a gentle spirit, that very kindness is his greatest weapon. It is a heart that will bleed for family that the clan needs now. Under the pale moonlight, the leader reflects on the storm brewing within the walls. A sudden shift in the air signals that urgent word has finally reached him. Shadows move across the stone steps as a mysterious messenger brings the next trial. He returns from the shadows, frustrated that the beggar's sect revealed absolutely nothing. Even a rundown tavern can hide deadly secrets when the stakes are this high. The elder remains skeptical, wondering if anyone can truly move without leaving a trace. But in this world of monsters, perfection is the only way to survive unseen. A chilling realization hits as they uncover the use of a dark suggestion spell. Desperate times call for a monster, and the leader decides to summon the brute. The news strikes like a physical blow, leaving the young survivor completely speechless. He protests against calling that arrogant savage, knowing the chaos that follows his name. The clan's future is at risk, and every Namgung must answer the call immediately. He wonders if they are preparing for a simple mission or an all-out war. The clan leader realizes that a forbidden path is now their only hope for survival. He warns the young survivor that their current burdens are already pushing them to breaking. A heavy silence falls as he mentions the one thing they can never forget. Morning light hits the secluded hall, where an agonizing ritual is set to begin. The young miss prepares for a trial of pain that few have ever survived. Attendants panic over the excruciating agony awaiting a girl whose wounds haven't even healed. Yet the survivor remains unfazed, knowing her true strength is far greater than it seems. He mocks the concern, fully aware that this girl is more dangerous than any poison. She masks her frustration with calm resolve, trusting only in the elder's protection. With her grandfather's support, the clan's final gamble for power finally moves forward. The elders warn that rushing this ritual could lead to a total disaster. But the grandfather refuses to let petty tantrums delay the clan's ultimate survival. Together they approach the massive seal that holds the key to her hidden potential. He calls Seilhwa forward, knowing this path is one she must walk alone. With a steady hand, the elder prepares to unlock a power dormant for generations. Massive waves of internal energy surge as the heavy mechanisms finally respond. Blinding light erupts from the seal, signaling the start of a hellish trial. Outside, the survivor watches with detached indifference, wishing them luck in the darkness. Those left behind can only pray that the young miss survives this brutal transition. As the entrance seals, the girl steps into the abyss to reclaim her legacy. Blue liquid drips onto the cold stone as the ritual finally begins. An ancient seal resonates with the rhythmic tapping of a power long forgotten. The elder prepares to forcefully trigger the dormant suggestion within his granddaughter's soul. She warns him that his life is at risk if her instincts take over. But the threat of physical harm is nothing compared to the secrets she hides. If she loses control, her true, forbidden martial arts will finally be exposed. As the energy surges, she reminds him of the desperate plea for his help. Looking him in the eye, she begs for his trust regardless of what happens. The clan leader stands silent, finally realizing the sheer weight of her hidden burden. With a final promise of protection, the hellish trial to reclaim her legacy begins. He knows that worrying about the future will never change the coming storm. With her resolve finally steeled, she prepares to face the ultimate mental trial. The elder places his hand upon her, initiating a connection that could shatter them. Pure energy surges from his palm as he triggers the dormant power within her. The ground itself begins to tremble as the forbidden resonance takes hold of her. Violent blue lightning coils around his fingers, forcing the suggestion to finally surface. Her body screams in agony as glowing veins of power fracture her very soul. A massive pillar of spiritual pressure erupts, threatening to consume everything in its path. Suddenly, a lethal killing intent pierces through the light, with terrifying, bloody precision. They stand amidst the wreckage of their own power, praying the girl survives. The girl sinks into a void where her humanity begins to slip away. Her eyes ignite with a crimson light, signaling that something ancient has finally awakened. A suffocating aura of pure malice erupts, turning the air into a bloody furnace. She realizes the darkness she now carries is far more terrifying than she imagined. Without warning, she launches a strike, fueled by a murderous intent she cannot control. The elder meets her assault, feeling the weight of a power that shouldn't exist. Desperation takes hold, as she gathers every ounce of that forbidden, crushing energy. Their clashing spirits shatter the ground in a desperate struggle for control and survival. He stares into the abyss of her soul, determined to anchor her before she's lost. As the dust settles, she stares back, haunted by the monster she just became. The battle reaches a turning point as she is forced into a desperate retreat. He acknowledges her sharp instincts while she struggles to regain her footing. With a cold command, the elder orders her to draw her steel. She reaches for her blade, her eyes burning with a newly awakened hunger. The blade pulses with a key that shouldn't belong to a mortal. There are only two ways to break this curse before it consumes her. He confirms the grim reality as the weight of the situation sinks in. Since the first option is impossible, only one violent path remains. He summons a colossal dragon aura, ready to crush the darkness within her. Now the real game begins, as he prepares to break her limits. The steel screams as she draws the blade that will decide her fate. She lunges forward, a blur of motion clashing against her grandfather's overwhelming power. Her strikes are crisp and lethal, utilizing a speed that defies her age. She shifts her rhythm instantly, trying to confuse him with an ever-changing blade path. But the elder remains a mountain, blocking her desperate assault with effortless precision. He realizes her terrifying talent allows her speed to compensate for lacking raw strength. Shadows dance around her as she prepares a strike fueled by pure, dark instinct. Suddenly, a massive wave of golden energy erupts to suppress her growing darkness. The air fractures as their conflicting powers collide in a violent explosion of light. With blood-red eyes, she refuses to back down, fully consumed by the battle's heat. The young survivor moves with a speed that shatters the very air around her. Her blade hums with a lethal, crimson intent that no normal disciple should possess. Even the legendary clan leader admits he can no longer match her rising power. He watches with grim realization as the true nature of her talent finally awakens. The playful sparring ends as she taps into a forbidden, blood-red sword technique. Now, the real battle begins as her blade thirsts for a decisive conclusion. She erupts into a violent vortex of energy, a monster reborn in the light. Every ounce of her dark instinct flows into the edge of her glowing steel. The elder, frozen in shock, realizes he might be facing his own destruction today. A terrifying pillar of energy descends, threatening to erase everything in its path. The ground shatters as her forbidden power finally makes contact with reality. The legendary elder refuses to back down, launching a desperate, high-speed counterattack. He exerts every ounce of his strength to suppress this rising, monstrous energy. But beneath the smoke, her silent gaze promises a fate far worse than defeat. Steel screams against steel as she intercepts his ultimate strike with terrifying ease. A violent storm of chi erupts, threatening to swallow the entire training grounds whole. For the first time in decades, the seasoned master feels true, paralyzing fear. She is weaving together every legendary sword technique into one single, impossible strike. Like a predator descending from the heavens, she prepares to deliver the final blow. Her eyes burn with red light as the monster within completely takes over. The old master unleashes a strike that should have ended the fight instantly. Yet he realizes her technique is an incomplete, terrifying evolution of his own style. These forbidden movements were specifically designed to dismantle the legendary Namgung sword arts. Like a falling star of pure malice, she descends to crush his final defense. Her eyes burn with a hunger for vengeance as the ultimate counter-martial art awakens. The collision of their powers shatters the very air, turning the arena into glass. She moves with a speed that defies logic, dancing through the wreckage of his pride. Even a seasoned legend can only watch as his absolute authority is violently stripped away. With one final, ruthless surge of energy, she carves her path through the master. All that remains of the clan's greatest legacy is a broken blade in the dirt. She was never a simple assassin but a weapon forged to destroy a legend. The clan leader realizes his gamble has birthed something far more terrifying than expected. A forbidden darkness erupts as her true power finally begins to awaken. Meanwhile, tension thickens within the palace as heavy footsteps echo through the halls. The young master demands the truth as rumors of the ritual spread like wildfire. News of the head's defiance against the elders sends the entire sect into chaos. Every calculation he made is now falling apart in the shadow of her growth. His followers beg him to act before their influence is stripped away forever. But the weight of the coming storm forces a moment of cold, silent hesitation. He knows that challenging the head now is a death sentence they cannot afford. Kang Hyun navigates a political minefield, while the Council of Elders remains hesitant. His allies fear the consequences of a family built on fading imperial honor. He warns them that the clan leader calculates every move with cold precision. They must divert the leader's attention before his pity for the girl vanishes. A sudden, jarring noise from outside interrupts their secret meeting in the palace. Fearful apologies echo through the hallway, as the peace is abruptly shattered. Uninvited guests from the Manhwa sect have arrived to challenge their authority. Hyun freezes as he realizes the timing of this intrusion is far too perfect. Without the clan leader present, the inner sanctum is ripe for a takeover. The first blow is struck, igniting a war that no one is prepared for. The duel erupts with a force that threatens to shatter the entire hall. Every strike carries the weight of a grudge held for far too long. The old master struggles to keep pace with her relentless, blinding speed. A single flash of light cleaves through the air with terrifying precision. He realizes this is no longer a simple display of sword mastery. Her footwork is a ghost-like dance that leaves him swinging at shadows. She descends like a falling star, crushing his defenses with raw power. Forbidden finger techniques strike like vipers, targeting his most vulnerable points. A crimson explosion of energy signals the birth of a true monster. She has finally mastered every secret art the Namgung clan ever possessed. The clan leader prepares to face the terrifying evolution of his own bloodline. Even pushed to her absolute limit, the young girl refuses to back down now. She suddenly erupts into a whirlwind of strikes that defy the laws of physics. Her speed becomes a total blur, leaving the very ground trembling beneath her feet. A lethal arc of light nearly carves through the veteran warrior's iron defense. She warns him that continuing this madness will only end in his certain death. A cataclysmic explosion of crimson energy threatens to consume everything in its path. Just before the point of no return, a single hand halts her momentum. He commands her to stop as a dark, suffocating aura begins to leak out. With a blinding pillar of golden light, the elder finally suppresses her monstrous power. The violent storm of energy finally begins to settle into a chilling silence. A trembling fist clenches tight as the overwhelming pressure slowly starts to fade. The veteran master looms over the exhausted girl, declaring the grueling trial complete. They have been trapped in this hellish training ground for 2 agonizing days. Though her body is broken, her terrifying willpower refuses to let her stay down. Impressed by her tenacity, the elder decides to reveal a legendary secret technique. He draws a magnificent blade as a blinding golden aura consumes the entire room. The ancient steel hums with a power that has been sealed for generations. He commands her to watch carefully as he prepares to unleash a god-tier strike. Her eyes ignite with a predatory focus, capturing every movement of the master's blade. The elder unleashes the dragon, a manifestation of power that defies all logic. He declares this unbreakable legacy as the girl watches with wide, trembling eyes. The ancient blade hums, vibrating with an energy that could shatter the heavens. A tidal wave of blue light crashes down, threatening to swallow her whole. She stands frozen as the sheer majesty of the technique leaves her breathless. Suddenly, the world explodes into a blinding flash of pure, unadulterated destruction. The shockwave ripples through the chamber, testing the very limits of her endurance. Her strength finally fails as she staggers under the weight of such divine power. Before she can hit the cold stone, the master catches his falling disciple. He holds her close, knowing this trial has finally awakened her true potential. Sleep now, for the path ahead is paved with blood and broken steel. The weight of a hidden legacy now rests solely on her fragile shoulders. While she dreams of power, the world outside is already moving against her. A disparity guest realizes he is in over his head at Namgung. Every moment spent in this den of vipers feels like wasted time. Rewinding to 2 days ago, the first seeds of this chaos were sown. The genius of Manhwa arrives, her eyes fixed on a forbidden secret. Word of the survivor's return has already spread through the martial world. But some truths are too dangerous to be revealed to an outsider's gaze. The Lord remains in seclusion, shielding his terrifying growth from prying eyes. The successor of Manhwa wears a smirk, hiding his true, greedy intentions. But his confidence wavers when he learns the Namgung Lord has entered sudden seclusion. Shock paralyzes him as he realizes the mysterious child has entered seclusion too. Forced to stay as a guest, he must wait for the Lord's return. 2 days pass in a heavy silence that feels like a brewing storm. Frustration boils over because simple congratulations were never the real goal of this trip. His eyes burn with desire for the legendary Great Rejuvenation Pill held by Namgung. He refuses to leave empty-handed, pacing the halls while plotting his next move. Every thought returns to the talented child who seems to be the center of everything. Suddenly, a terrifying presence catches him off guard, shattering his focus completely. Kang Hyun arrives with a mountain of snacks to break the heavy tension. Yu Gang stares in disbelief at the sudden and bizarre display of gluttony. Ignoring the food, he demands the truth about the mysterious child's condition. The tone shifts as Kang Hyun reveals her meridians were in total chaos. Panic flashes in the master's eyes as he questions how a child knew. 3 conflicting energies were fighting for dominance inside her small, fragile body. His hand trembles upon hearing that none of that power belonged to her. It was as if multiple sources of external qi were forced into one vessel. A dark suspicion begins to take root in his mind as he calculates. He wonders if the legendary Shaolin sect is secretly pulling the strings here. The elder realizes the legendary rejuvenation pill is the key to this hidden conspiracy. Kang Hyun probes deeper, questioning the true nature of the Shaolin sect's forbidden power. Confusion masks the master's face as he desperately tries to hide his growing ignorance. The tension snaps as the old man erupts in a fit of sudden, violent frustration. Banished from the room, the young survivor leaves his master drowning in a sea of suspicion. A sudden knock shatters the silence, pushing the agitated elder to his absolute breaking point. News from the outside arrives as a loyal subordinate seeks an urgent audience with him. With a heavy sigh, the master allows the newcomer to enter his private, chaotic sanctuary. Even the most loyal disciples are now being watched under a lens of deep mistrust. Trying to soothe his mounting headache, the elder demands to know what new disaster awaits. Kang Hyun delivers word of a sudden invitation from the prestigious Namgung clan. The master remains skeptical of an offer, coming from such a mysterious source. He notes that the young master has been suspiciously absent since their arrival. Their sect walks a separate path from those obsessed with mere martial fame. Yet the lure of the Great Rejuvenation Pill makes this alliance impossible to ignore. Sensing the internal conflict, the survivor asks if his master will truly attend. Deciding they have nothing to lose, the elder agrees to hear the proposal. Suddenly, memories of a crimson massacre begin to bleed into the present moment. Agonizing, screams echo through the void as the ghosts of the past return. In this ruthless world, every secret deal is paid for in human lives. The past returns as a crimson nightmare, threatening to consume her entire soul. A desperate hand reaches out, begging for the madness to finally stop. A blunt strike cuts through the darkness, shattering the cycle of violence. The darkness screams in defiance, refusing to let go of its prey. Suddenly, a celestial power descends, manifesting as a legendary azure dragon. The ancient beast roars, its fangs ready to tear through the dark energy. A blinding explosion of pure light erases the lingering shadows of the massacre. Caught in the eye of the storm, she feels the world spinning away. The sheer force of the intervention leaves the battlefield in total silence. She stands alone, trembling as she witnesses the true scale of a master. Her piercing blue eyes snap open as the celestial storm finally begins to settle. She falls through a sea of azure light, the world spinning in total chaos. A blinding flash of pure energy erases the last memories of the brutal struggle. A legendary presence looms over her, his silent strength anchoring the shattered reality. Slowly regaining consciousness, she finds the darkness replaced by a strange, peaceful warmth. The clan leader cradles her gently, asking if she has finally awakened from her sleep. His scarred face softens, revealing a protective side rarely seen by the martial world. She gasps in realization, her heart racing as she recognizes the master's overwhelming aura. Surrounded by falling embers of light, they stand amidst the ruins of a reputation. Staring at her trembling hands, she wonders if she truly achieved the impossible today. The old master's gaze softens, his scars hiding a heart filled with newfound hope. He remarks on her mastery, recognizing the legendary techniques that define his entire family. The tension in the air thickens as she prepares for the ultimate interrogation. He wonders if she was trained specifically to bring the Namgung clan to ruin. Panic strikes her heart as she realizes she accidentally exposed secrets from her past. She frantically lies, claiming her style is just a counter technique she invented herself. Hearing this, a visible wave of relief finally washes over the battle-hardened elder. He understands now why powerful enemies are so desperate to hunt her down. He warns that her strikes perfectly exploit every fatal flaw in their ancestral arts. Now, he asks the one thing she never expected. Will she save them all? Clenching her fist, she prepares to gamble her life on a desperate lie. She resolves to master the impossible techniques required to save her fallen clan. The elder smiles, impressed by the sheer weight of her newfound conviction. But he wonders if the world will truly believe she learned this so quickly. He laughs it off, claiming his brilliant granddaughter is beyond any petty suspicion. Deep in meditation, a terrifying crimson aura begins to consume the entire room. She channels a forbidden power that should have been lost to the ages. Finally opening her eyes, she exhales as the overwhelming pressure slowly fades away. The elder watches closely, asking if her body can handle such destructive energy. She confirms the curse is gone, but a darker mystery still remains unsolved. Despite her efforts, the crimson stain on her soul refuses to fade away. Her grandfather reassures her that the color of her power doesn't define her. He offers a secret ritual to help her forge a completely new path. Steeling her resolve, she prepares for a transformation that could change everything. The elder begins channeling his immense chi directly into her fragile body. He commands her to feel the ancient energy coursing through her veins. As their spirits connect, a torrent of blue power begins to erupt. Her potential mirrors a legendary master, fierce enough to wash away all impurities. Surrounded by the crashing waves of energy, she focuses every ounce of her will. The ritual reaches its peak as she finally grasps the true essence of power. She lets the ancient energy flow through her like a relentless tidal wave. The power surges toward every meridian, seeking to rewrite her very foundations. Violent strikes of pure chi shatter the limits of her physical vessel. At the center of the storm, a blinding core of potential finally ignites. Her body becomes a vessel for the swirling vortex of forbidden energy. The elder exerts his full strength, desperately trying to stabilize the chaotic transformation. He watches in disbelief as his most powerful techniques fail to satisfy her. Even after pouring decades of cultivation into her, she continues to hunger for more. Realizing her meridians are opening, she decides to reach for an impossible goal. She aims to circulate power through every channel, transcending the limits of humanity. The elder stares in awe as her body achieves perfect harmony with the chi. He prepares to gamble everything, pouring his life's energy into the final push. A violent surge of power erupts, bridging the gap between master and disciple. Her consciousness drifts into a vast, endless sky as the physical world fades away. Amidst the clouds, she searches for the true essence of her family's legacy. Clarity strikes as her blood meridians finally shatter their ancient, heavy chains. She feels the wind of her birthplace, reclaiming a power she was born to wield. A single spark of pure inner energy settles within the palm of her hand. She crushes the light, solidifying her new strength with a single, resolute grip. Back in reality, her body stabilizes as the forbidden transformation reaches its peak. Exhausted from the trial, her breathing finally steadies as she returns. The elder confirms she has achieved a level of absolute mastery. He asks if she gained any true insight during her transformation. Struggling to sit up, she searches for the right words. She finally understands the iron-blooded spirit hidden within her bloodline. Her realization shocks the master who has lived for decades. He admits she reached the pinnacle 7 years faster than him. The young girl stares back, processing the gravity of her talent. She was born with a physique destined to conquer the heavens. The legendary heavenly martial body is now hers to command. The heavens have granted a gift that defies the laws of martial logic. A perfect physique designed to harmonize with the world's most volatile energies. The clan leader realizes his granddaughter possesses a vessel of pure legend. She reflects on a past life, where such overwhelming power was only a dream. He reveals that her internal gates were already open from the very beginning. Instead, her own mismatched blood was the only thing suppressing her true potential. The realization hits her that she has been her own greatest limiter. Now she must learn to cage this beastly strength before it consumes her. Even with this breakthrough, she knows the blood demon is still far stronger. Elsewhere, a hidden powerhouse senses the shifting tides of a coming storm. Kang Hyun watches as the weight of anticipation turns into pure irritation. The restless pacing of his companion echoes the growing dread within the walls. She snaps at the air, unable to contain the frantic energy consuming her. Her family balances on a razor's edge between existence and the void. 3 agonizing days have passed without a single word from the inner chambers. Hyun remains cold, knowing that desperation is the fastest way to get killed. The conversation shifts as rumors of legendary masters reaching the gate's surface. The first sword of Manhwa has finally arrived to claim his stake. He brings a ruthless warrior known for slaughtering thousands without a second thought. This is no friendly visit. The vultures are circling for the kill. Yugang senses a hidden scheme brewing beneath the surface of this tense meeting. The master realizes their guests won't leave until they confront the clan's leadership. Tension thickens as the possibility of a dangerous new alliance begins to form. With every surge in strength, the number of enemies lurking in shadows grows. Yugang confesses he lacks the power to shield his daughter from this storm. The master watches in silence, unable to offer the comfort his ally needs. A heavy weight settles between them as the reality of their situation sinks in. Completely defeated by the truth, the master finds himself out of words. An agonizing silence stretches across the garden while they wait for any distraction. He desperately prays for a disciple to appear and break this suffocating atmosphere. Kang Hyun counts the seconds as the mountain itself begins to groan. Before the massive gates, the air turns heavy with an impossible pressure. The seal finally breaks, revealing a presence that shouldn't be there yet. Out steps the young disciple, appearing far sooner than anyone ever anticipated. Relief washes over them as Kang Hyun rushes forward to greet her. Yu Gang frantically asks why she returned days before her training was finished. While they tend to her, a chilling realization begins to take hold. She calmly explains that the clan leader needs more time to recover. But as the survivor looks closer, his blood turns to ice. A golden aura erupts as he realizes she has finally reached the peak realm. Her sudden return sends shockwaves through the group as her master laughs in disbelief. Even the ruthless mentor can feel the terrifying stability of her newly awakened power. Yu Gang quickly warns her that powerful guests from Manhwa are already waiting. She remains cold and calculated, processing the political moves happening behind her back. The atmosphere shifts instantly when she mentions the clan's most precious secret medicine. Realizing they only have 2 days left, the weight of the situation settles in. She demands their silence, insisting that her early arrival remains a total secret. A bombshell drops as she reveals the legendary pill has already been consumed. With a sharp tug of her ribbon, she prepares to face the coming storm. Despite their desperate protests, she refuses to waste another second of her precious time. Fear grips the masters as they refuse to let their greatest asset leave unprotected. Yu Gang knows that one wrong move will lead to the clan's total annihilation. He proposes a gamble by sending the lethal first young master as her shield. Guarding the child is no longer a choice but the clan's final desperate duty. They have only 48 hours before the window of opportunity slams shut forever. Standing at the gate, he prays they return before the world finds out. The duo blurs through the woods, moving with the grace of ancient spirits. She reflects on the legendary pill that has already changed her destiny. Meanwhile, in a quiet tea house, dark rumors of their escape take root. A shadowy figure watches intently, ready to ignite a war between the great sects. The successor of Manhwa arrives with a chillingly calm smile. A simple meal hides a deadly conversation about the clan's darkest secrets. Whispers of a peculiar rumor begin to circulate across the dinner table. They discuss the legendary pill and a stolen artifact found in Shaanxi. The Plum Blossom Divine Sword has finally made its move toward Namgung territory. Suddenly, the atmosphere shatters as a heavy weight crushes the entire room. Yu Gang unleashes a murderous aura that no ordinary master could ever withstand. The pressure is overwhelming, leaving the elder gasping against the cold malice. Even while seated, his presence dominates the space like a predator cornering prey. He refuses to let this perfect opportunity slip through his fingers tonight. The atmosphere shifts as the elder finally drops his mask and apologizes. He demands the truth about the legendary pill that everyone is hunting for. Yu Gang plays it cool, claiming he knows nothing about the lost treasure. He leans forward, asking if that specific medicine is actually their only hope. The successor suggests finding something even more powerful than the pill itself. The elder remains unmoved, insisting his clan possesses no such secret weapon. A flicker of frustration crosses the warrior's face as the deal starts stalling. He offers his hand in a pact, masking his true intentions with charm. Silence hangs heavy as the master weighs the risks of this sudden alliance. His cold eyes reveal a man ready to burn everything for his clan's survival. The elder demands to know exactly what the young master seeks to gain. A silent pact is formed, sealed by a grip that holds the clan's future. Their journey leads them deep into the woods toward a legendary, forgotten elixir. Together, they move through the shadows, chasing a myth that shouldn't even exist. Yu Gang speaks of a thief whose treasure once promised dominion over the world. To most, it was a cruel lie, designed to expose the depth of greed. Standing atop the ancient trees, he reveals that the legend is terrifyingly real. The girl listens intently, harboring secrets of a past life that change everything. He warns her that some men would rather burn the world than share power. She realizes the ultimate prize vanished because of the darkness within human hearts. Following the breadcrumbs of a myth, the duo reaches the fabled Turtle Head. A massive stone formation looms over the forest, hiding secrets of ancient power. They question the nature of the celestial bow as they venture deeper into danger. Seolhwa searches for a sign from the heavens, yet the sky remains empty. The legend shifts from a divine weapon to something far more sinister, the blood bow. Tales of a crimson bridge appearing in the mist send a chill down her spine. Suddenly, Yu Gang realizes the horrifying truth about the ground they stand upon. The air grows heavy with killing intent, as a hidden presence finally reveals itself. With a blinding flash of blue energy, they strike down a monster in unison. A severed head rolls across the dirt, marking the end of a one-sided execution. Yu-gang stares at the remains of the beast they just effortlessly slaughtered. A sudden shift in the wind forces both martial artists to draw their blades. He finally recognizes the cursed legend of the Crimson Bridge they now stand upon. Countless malevolent red eyes begin to flicker within the suffocating darkness of the forest. The young disciple questions if any treasure is truly worth this impending suicide mission. Yu-gang grips his sword tightly, knowing she cannot fathom the horror approaching them. Shadowy monsters lunging from the trees force the duo into a desperate struggle. A blinding streak of blue energy cuts through the mist with lethal precision. With a graceful spin, she unleashes the true power of her hidden heavenly techniques. The forest floor turns crimson as she shreds the pack of beasts into nothingness. A monstrous beast shrieks as a heavy blow sends it reeling into the shadows. The young disciple carves through the air, leaving a trail of crimson in her wake. She remains cold and calculated despite the carnage unfolding around her. These creatures are born from pure resentment, fueled by a hunger that never ends. A blinding arc of energy cleaves the darkness, shattering the pack's coordinated assault. More monsters swarm the trees, their claws scraping against the bark in a frantic hunt. She senses a shift in the wind, realizing the true predator hasn't appeared yet. Another demonic beast lunges from the canopy, its jaw wide and ready to tear flesh. Their glowing eyes reflect an ancient hatred for every living soul in this world. Suddenly, a massive presence descends from the sky, threatening to crush everything below. She whispers a soft apology, her eyes reflecting a sudden, heavy sense of regret. The burden of her hidden past begins to weigh down her fragile spirit. A pillar of burning resentment erupts, clashing against a soul's deepest, most desperate wish. With a thunderous crack, the absolute darkness is torn asunder by a single strike. The resulting shockwave shatters the air as the demonic beast is completely erased. He tightens his grip on the hilt, prepared to cut down anything that remains. Yu-gang observes that these creatures are far more persistent than they first appeared. She realizes that even with high intelligence, these monsters will never understand surrender. He reminds her that these beasts know all too well how cruel humans can be. They venture deeper into the woods, uncovering the horrific truth behind the monkey demons. They walk through the dark woods discussing the cruelty of those seeking fresh meat. The young survivor wonders why humans would crave such a grotesque and bloody meal. Her foot crunches against the brittle remains of a creature long since forgotten. Sensing a hidden presence nearby, Yu-gang stops her and points toward the shadows. He reaches out toward a wall of vines, uncovering a grim and silent secret. The duo stands amidst the trees, realizing they have stumbled upon something truly horrific. He directs her gaze toward a hidden alcove where the forest keeps its dead. A pile of tiny skulls reveals a massacre that happened far from human eyes. Kneeling before the remains, he realizes this isn't treasure, but a mass grave. The beasts were only trying to hide their children from the greed of man. She questions why the deadliest predators vanish into the shadows when winter strikes. Her companion admits his grave error while they take shelter within the cold stone. The realization of a brutal hunting season begins to weigh heavily on her soul. A horrific mist of blood once painted the sky during a senseless slaughter. They sit amidst the silence of a quest that led only to tragedy. With nowhere left to turn, the weight of their discovery begins to sink in. He masks his growing unease with a forced smile, while sensing her deep discomfort. Even the most savage monsters show a heartbreaking devotion to their fallen young. The echoes of a child's final cries haunt the very air around them now. He carries a pain that makes this tragic cycle impossible for him to ignore. A child sleeps peacefully, unaware of the tragedy lurking in the shadows. She is cradled in the warmth of a love that feels unbreakable. But duty calls as reports of a violent raid reach their sanctuary. He prepares to leave, driven by a need to protect his family. She reassures him that the clan will keep them safe until morning. A tender farewell marks the final moment of their shared happiness. He promises to return quickly, never imagining the horror awaiting him. In a heartbeat, the peaceful home is transformed into a crimson hellscape. He returns to find his worst nightmares painted across the burning ground. Desperate cries echo through the ruins of a life shattered in seconds. A loyal soldier gasps his final breath as blood stains the earth. Kang Hyun catches his falling comrade just as the light leaves his eyes. The dying man points toward the shadows, begging the survivor to hurry. A trembling, bloodied hand marks the direction of a new, looming catastrophe. He moves like a phantom, tearing through the forest with desperate speed. Desperate pleas for mercy haunt his mind as he races against the clock. Fear turns to cold determination while he pushes his body past its limits. His eyes widen as he finally spots the monsters hiding in the dark. He finds the young disciple trapped in the grasp of merciless, hooded executioners. Fury erupts as his blade paints the forest floor in a sudden, crimson arc. Yu-gang carves through the masked killers with lethal, blinding precision. His blade sings while he desperately tries to reach the captive child. but the enemy already has the terrified young disciple in their clutches. She cries out for her father while tears stream down her face. Horror strikes his heart as he realizes their cruel final plan. Without hesitation, the assassin leaps into the dark abyss with the girl. They plummet toward the jagged rocks below in a sickening, vertical descent. A scream of pure agony erupts while his world shatters into pieces. He dives after them, his sword trailing a path of righteous fury. Crimson sprays the air while he strikes down the monsters responsible. Blood stains the earth as the weight of failure finally sets in. He stands frozen, unable to process the horrific scene before his eyes. A sudden, violent fracture splits the very sky above his head. The reality he knew shatters into a million jagged, unforgiving pieces. That was the day he heard the sound of his world collapsing. Retreating to the shadows, he realizes how easily everything can be lost. Bitterness consumes him for being arrogant enough to lower his guard. His only light is the survivor whose return kept him from madness. They sit in the cold silence, bound by a shared, agonizing trauma. He vows there will never be a next time for such tragedy. Sitting in the dirt, he realizes his daughter truly believes he doesn't understand. She speaks of a curse, leaving him frozen in a state of pure confusion. Her hand tightens around the hilt, signaling that the time for talk is over. She levels the sword at his throat, fearing her own strength might kill him. Panic sets in as he stares into eyes that no longer recognize him. Without warning, a massive arc of blue energy tears through the stagnant air. He barely avoids the strike, the raw power shattering his sense of safety. Gasping for breath, he realizes she actually intended to take his life. He leaps back as a second wave of destructive force chases his shadow. Desperate and cornered, he begs for a reason behind this sudden, murderous betrayal. The young disciple lunges forward with a strike that feels entirely too familiar. She questions her destiny, haunted by the fear of being stolen away once more. Every swing of her blade carries the weight of a legacy she might abandon. Kang Hyun realizes her heart has already wandered far beyond the clan's reach. Deep within the shadows, ancient remains stir as the ground begins to fracture. Terror grips him as he screams Seolhwa's name into the cold, uncaring void. She unleashes a devastating wave of energy, severing her final ties to him. His footing fails as the very foundation of their world starts to crumble. A blinding explosion of light consumes the battlefield, leaving only devastation behind. Plunging into the unknown, he watches his reality shatter into 1,000 pieces. A flash of steel marks the beginning of a confrontation that defies all logic. They dance through the air, trading blows as gravity itself struggles to keep up. She warns that he has no idea how cruel this world can truly be. But he refuses to back down, standing firm against her cold, biting words. The earth shatters as he claims to understand the darkness better than anyone. Landing amidst the ruins, the young disciple prepares for a final, desperate stand. She questions her own path, wondering if her best will ever be enough. He reveals he cast aside everything just to escape these grand, bloody schemes. Dark shadows veil her face as she demands to know when he will fight. Yu Gang watches in silence, paralyzed by the overwhelming pressure of a true master. She confronts him, asking if hiding away was his only form of effort. He stands firm as she questions if isolation could ever keep them safe. A single look reveals the deep realization dawning within his very soul. Memories of a weeping child prove that silence alone can protect no one. Her sudden outburst of raw emotion is almost too much to comprehend. 8 years of bottled-up resentment finally spill out in a desperate flood. She lunges forward, her blade carrying the weight of a lifetime's pain. Behind the aggression, the silent tears of a suffering child finally fall. Their clash shatters the earth, releasing a shockwave of unbridled martial energy. As the dust settles, the harsh reality of their broken bond remains. Her trembling hand grips the blade that was meant to end it all. In a desperate struggle, she forces her master to face her buried agony. The weight of her grief finally breaks through her cold, warrior facade. He stands frozen, as the realization of her true pain pierces his heart. With a final, shaking breath, she lets her weapon fall to the earth. Their violent clash ends not in blood, but in a fragile, desperate embrace. She clings to him, needing to know if she still matters to him. He closes his eyes, finally accepting the responsibility of their shared connection. She declares her resolve to no longer stand idly by in this world. Looking ahead, she demands her father follow her toward a brand new destiny. Kang Hyun stands firm, his gaze reflecting a resolve forged in the fires of loss. He cradles his daughter, begging forgiveness for the cowardice that forced them into hiding. Fate is an inescapable tide, and he can no longer deny the truth of his bloodline. Bowing his head in solemn prayer, he gathers the strength to finally stand his ground. He declares his intent to seize the clan throne and fight alongside her forever. Hope flickers in her eyes as the shadows clouding her future begin to dissipate. Beneath a radiant sky, a father's oath echoes across the peaks of their new reality. Suddenly, ancient scripts etched into the earth begin to churn with a long-forgotten energy. A blinding blue seal ignites, marking the rise of a power that will reshape history. A mysterious blue glow erupts from the earth, signaling a hidden power awakening. Seolha realizes they have stumbled upon an ancient and complex martial formation. Kang Hyun confirms her suspicions as the air begins to vibrate with energy. Together they venture deeper into the mist, guided by the shimmering patterns. The young disciple remains on high alert, sensing the weight of the past. With a single step, the true mechanism of this sacred ground is triggered. The legendary Heavenly Palace reveals itself through a blinding pillar of light. They finally understand the riddle was never about the earth, but the heavens. Inside the secret chamber, they uncover a treasure hidden from the world's eyes. But a cryptic message within the box hints at a much darker truth. Kang Hyun stares into the distance, realizing the weight of their latest discovery. He grasps the legendary artifact, a supreme power finally within his reach. The young disciple secures the Golden Dragon Blood Elixir, a treasure beyond imagination. As they traverse the forest, they discuss the medicine value compared to restoration pills. He sighs, mourning the potential loss of such a rarity to Manhwa. They must avoid conflict with Great Sex, even if it means sacrificing everything. Suddenly, the girl stops and asks why they would ever surrender such power. Her master stands frozen, caught off guard by her sudden shift in resolve. The two stand at odds over their original plan to pay off their rivals. This legendary elixir was never a gift. It was always meant for high-stakes negotiation. The long-lost child of the Namgung clan finally returns to her rightful place. Even the elite masters are shaken by the young girl's unnatural composure and maturity. Her protector smiles, relieved that their dangerous path has finally led them back home. Yet she knows that the threads of fate are far too complex to sever. A desperate successor clings to the hope that she remembers their previous fated encounter. He silently begs for any sign of recognition to validate his own worth. She cold-heartedly dismisses their meeting as nothing more than a passing, ordinary moment. The master's grand expectations crumble as he realizes there is no secret bond. He prepares to ask the one question that could change the power balance forever, but she is already steps ahead, knowing exactly what the old man truly desires. The master flinches as the hidden powerhouse calls out their lack of respect. The Manhwa successor erupts in fury, claiming the girl is insulting his sect. She calmly sips her tea, demanding they finally reveal their true, greedy intentions. A single gesture from her protector halts the young swordsman in his tracks. The master backpedals with a pathetic excuse about being in too much haste. Dropping his facade, he prepares to reveal the real reason for this tense meeting. He mentions the legendary pill, a treasure that could shift the entire balance of power. Her piercing blue eyes narrow as he mentions a blood-soaked gang from the past. The air grows heavy as she unexpectedly admits to taking the pill by force. The master's soul nearly leaves his body when he hears the syndicate she destroyed. She continues sipping her tea while her enemies tremble with sheer disbelief. She reveals the truth about seizing the treasure from a ruthless syndicate. Her sharp logic tears through their weak claims of ancestral ownership. The master struggles to maintain his composure under her freezing gaze. She demands absolute proof that the legendary pill ever belonged to them. Silence fills the room as the master realizes he has no rebuttal. A dark secret involving a hidden deal with the Shaolin Temple remains buried. They sit in shadows, unable to explain their desperate need for the medicine. She remembers their past cowardice and feels nothing but pure contempt. Their arrogance proves they still believe her clan is a defenseless prey. The elders lecture her on the dangers of letting legendary artifacts fall into darkness. Her former master bristles as she turns their own failures against their prideful hearts. With a piercing gaze, she questions if they truly intend to honor their debts. She coolly reveals that the pill they seek is no longer in her possession. Outraged by her defiance, the elite successor slams the table in a blind fury. Silence falls as she calmly places a mysterious jade box before the greedy men. She offers the legendary Golden Dragon's Blood Elixir as a far more potent alternative. Shock ripples through the room as they realize the sheer value of her gift. The master stares in disbelief at the treasure he never thought he would see. Desperation replaces their arrogance as they finally ask what price she demands for it. The young survivor stares down her greedy opponents with chilling and unshakable confidence. She reminds them that true warriors should let their strength do the talking. A bold proposition hangs in the air as she challenges their very honor. She demands they settle this dispute the only way martial artists know how. The master recoils in shock, unable to believe a mere disciple seeks a duel. With a mocking wave, she scoffs that fighting him would be far too easy. Her sheer arrogance leaves the seasoned veterans completely flabbergasted and speechless. The elder hesitates, knowing a one-sided victory would only bring him deep shame. He fears that crushing a young girl would drag Manhwa's reputation through mud. Finally, he turns to the only person present worthy of stepping into the ring. Yu Gang freezes as the heavy weight of responsibility suddenly falls upon his shoulders. His master demands he represent their honor in a duel he never wanted. Terrified, he frantically suggests a stronger senior brother should take his place instead. But the elder insists that Yu Gang alone carries the future of Manhwa. He even mocks the girl, claiming she is no match for his top disciple. A chilling smile spreads across her face as she accepts the arrogant challenge. Radiating pure confidence, she declares herself the true future of the Namgung clan. Static crackles in the air as their conflicting killing intents finally collide head-on. Only Yu Gang knows the terrifying truth of the monster he now faces. Without a moment to lose, the two warriors take their positions for battle. Yu Gang sighs heavily, realizing there is no escaping the inevitable confrontation ahead. The young lady questions his sudden hesitation after he spent years dreaming of this. A heavy silence falls over the training grounds as the weight of destiny settles. Despite his fear, he masks his anxiety with a confident, albeit forced, smile. He closes his eyes to center his spirit, pushing aside every lingering doubt. With the reputation of Manhwa at stake, he decides to give it everything. He formally identifies himself, demanding a duel to prove his sect's ultimate superiority. Seolhwa accepts without a moment's delay, drawing her blade with cold, focused precision. The air turns cold as the two warriors lock eyes across the empty arena. The silence shatters as their swords collide in a display of raw, overwhelming power. She moves with a grace that defies her brutal and bloody upbringing. The clash of steel echoes across the training grounds with violent intensity. Every strike is a calculated dance between life and certain death. Petals of energy bloom as the Manhwa successor unleashes his legacy, but she counters with a cold, draconic power that chills the air. Onlookers watch in stunned silence as the gap in skill suddenly vanishes. Even the masters recognize the terrifying beauty of this forbidden swordplay. He has mastered the essentials, but his opponent is something far worse. The true terror is that she hasn't even shown her full strength. Now the fight reaches a fever pitch where only one can stand. He grips the blade with a resolve that defies his simple wooden weapon. The very terrain of Manhwa descends in a crushing wave of crimson energy. His eyes trace the strike, finding the fatal flaw in an infinitely adaptable technique. Rugged and untamed, the successor unleashes a style that should have ended him instantly. Every ounce of his spirit is poured into this one final, desperate gambit. But memories of a past life flicker as he recognizes this familiar, ancient rhythm. Despite the centuries, the essence of the sword remains tragically and beautifully unchanged. He declares that the era of the plum blossom has finally reached its end. The once vibrant petals have withered, leaving only a stubborn, dying persistence behind. Spitting blood, he smiles at the same hollow threats he has heard across lifetimes. Yu Gang lunges forward, refusing to let the legacy of Manhwa die here. He channels every drop of his remaining spirit into a final, blinding technique. With a roar, he declares that the plum blossoms will never truly fall. A storm of pink petals erupts, tearing through the air with lethal intent. Amidst the chaos, the survivor watches the lethal petals pass him by. Suddenly, the young disciple moves with speed that defies the laws of physics. She intercepts the strike, her movements a blur of cold, calculated efficiency. The sheer force of her counter sends the proud successor reeling backward. He stumbles in disbelief as the gap in their power becomes painfully clear. Her piercing eyes reveal a depth of power he can never hope to reach. The hidden powerhouse readies his wooden blade, bracing for a clash that defies logic. He stands alone before the grand hall, a silent storm brewing within his soul. Red energy surges forth as a forbidden technique begins to manifest in the air. The heavenly net clashes against the minor clarity sword in a display of power. The sheer pressure of their combined auras threatens to tear the very air apart. A pink storm of lethal petals swirls, threatening to shred anything in its path. Swift footsteps echo across the stone courtyard as the battle reaches its breaking point. Gasping for breath, the survivor realizes the terrifying gap between their levels of power. His knuckles turn white as he desperately clings to his weapon and his pride. The young disciple calmly challenges him to continue, her presence cold and utterly overwhelming. Gasping for air, the elite warrior realizes the terrifying gap between their current levels. He laughs in the face of defeat, fascinated by her absolute and crushing power. The young girl blinks in silence, unmoved by his sudden outburst of admiration. He claims to be the strongest in his sect, but she remains unimpressed. A sudden chill takes hold as he struggles to comprehend her hidden depth. She turns her back on him, declaring that his current strength is simply pathetic. Her voice remains cold as she orders him to return only when truly worthy. Burning with shame, the defeated disciple stands frozen under the gaze of his peers. Meanwhile, a sinister presence watches from the darkness, plotting a deadly next move. Now, a true powerhouse, the survivor steps forward to shield her from treachery. The defeated genius screams in fury, accusing the survivors of a cowardly deception. Hyun steps forward with icy resolve, declaring that the duel was perfectly fair. The Manhwa successor loses all composure, as his pride is utterly shattered. With a mocking smile, Hyun questions if the great sect has forgotten propriety. Suddenly, a heavy presence shifts the air as a master finally intervenes. The ruthless mentor commands his disgraced disciple to stand down immediately. He acknowledges the girl's terrifying potential, wondering how she grew so fast. She stands tall, reminding him she carries the blood of the Sword Emperor. The elder admits defeat, but refuses to surrender the clan's ultimate treasure. Instead, he offers 2 lethal proposals that will change their fate forever. The young survivor demands the impossible proof of a secret pill trade. She stares him down, refusing to back down despite the looming threat. Her ultimatum is clear: she will only speak to the sect leader himself. The master grits his teeth as she promises to deliver the truth personally. Suddenly, the atmosphere fractures as the master loses his fragile composure. A violent, red aura erupts from his body, threatening to crush everything nearby. His disciples tremble in terror as their mentor's killing intent turns razor sharp. Hyun steps forward, demanding the Plum Blossom Divine Sword suppress his overwhelming power. He shields the girl from the storm, standing as an immovable wall. But the sheer force of a transformation realm master leaves a bloody mark. Hyun stands as a shield against a realm where mere intent becomes a blade. A small hand reaches out to calm the man standing before the storm. The girl reassures her protector that she can handle the weight of this malice. The master erupts in fury, his killing intent manifesting as a crimson tide. Despite the crushing pressure, she remains unyielding in the face of certain death. He sneers at her boldness, calling her a fearless and shameless child. Her request to see the sect leader is met with a cold, absolute refusal. He demands the truth, certain that the girl is hiding a dangerous secret. She challenges his authority, asking if he truly dares to spill her blood. The standoff escalates as the entire clan watches their master lose his composure. The master claims his power is like a flood that cleanses the world. But the young disciple stares back with a gaze that holds no fear. She coldly retorts that a simple flood is nothing to a tidal wave. The mentor freezes, his mind racing to process her sudden, terrifying defiance. A sudden shift in the atmosphere turns his blood into ice. Without warning, the crushing pressure of his own killing intent simply disappears. He realizes with growing dread that his spirit was completely neutralized. A massive, ancient energy erupts from the shadows, shattering the silence. He trembles, knowing the one man he feared most has returned early. The clan leader arrives, ready to crush the insect invading his home. The master finds himself trapped within a vortex of overwhelming, crushing pressure. He is forced to face the legend himself, the one who rules this domain. The Sword Emperor demands to know if Manhwa truly seeks a total war. His gaze burns with a cold fury for anyone daring to touch his bloodline. The ruthless mentor finally realizes he has crossed a line he cannot survive. Trembling, he desperately tries to claim it was all just a simple misunderstanding. He lies through his teeth, pretending he was only testing the girl's hidden potential. But the air thickens as hands clench in a rage that cannot be silenced. The clan elders erupt, refusing to accept such a pathetic and cowardly excuse. They roar that this blatant disrespect toward the Namgung name will not go unpunished. Tension boils in the chamber as the elders demand blood for the recent insult. The clan leader silences the room, revealing that Seolwa herself requested peace. He knows that publicly shaming a power like Manhwa invites certain destruction. Another elder admits that despite the arrogance, both sides have handled this poorly. Suddenly, the master turns his piercing gaze toward the young powerhouse, Chonghai. He questions the secret attempts to forge an alliance with their rivals. The air grows heavy as the leader demands to know his disciple's true mistake. Chonghai remains silent, his expression clouded by the weight of a failed gamble. He reflects on the unpredictable recklessness of the legendary Plum Blossom Divine Sword. The master watches closely, weighing whether this failure will forge or break his successor. The master breaks the heavy silence, demanding Cheonggun finally provide his own perspective. All eyes fall on the young powerhouse as the clan's future hangs in balance. He hesitates for only a moment before the weight of his resolve takes hold. The elders watch closely, waiting to see if their successor will fold or fight. He suddenly declares that the proud Namgung clan never truly needed Manhwa's help. A wave of shock ripples through the room at such a bold, dangerous statement. He recalls years of wandering where the name Namgung commanded absolute, terrifying respect. The legendary dragon of their lineage represents a power no unorthodox faction dares challenge. He refuses to believe his family has grown so weak they must beg for scraps. The elders tremble, realizing that giving up the initiative would destroy their legacy forever. He refuses to let his family bow to the famous Manhwa sect. The elders realize that true power cannot be borrowed from outsiders. Relying on others only makes the clan a target for manipulation and ruin. He asks if they truly want to restore the prestige of their name. A bitter resentment boils within those who suffered today's humiliation. The only path forward is to discard weakness and grow infinitely stronger. Their failure isn't because of their allies, but their own internal frailty. They lack the overwhelming force that keeps the world's greedy eyes away. He envisions a future where every rival power must bow their head. The elder commands him to transform the Namgung clan into that absolute legend. Kang Hyun watches the shifting tides of power with a cold, calculating gaze. Outside, the clan grounds buzz with the heavy weight of a coming storm. Behind closed doors, secrets are whispered that could shatter the world's fragile peace. The entrance is sealed, ensuring no prying eyes witness the master's private judgment. A veteran master ponders if the legendary clan lord has truly lost his edge. He questions if time has truly softened the man's once terrifying and ruthless nature. Dark memories of a blood-soaked past still haunt the shadows of his mind. He realizes the danger hasn't faded. It has only become more refined and deadly. Mocking the clan's current state, he prepares to receive his most promising student. His top disciple enters, ready to prove that the Namgung legacy is far from dead. Yugang greets his master, desperate to uncover the clan's hidden agenda. A chilling silence fills the room as a dangerous question is asked. Every breath feels heavy when facing a master with blood on his hands. He demands to know the truth behind the legendary Great Rejuvenation Pill. Why would the Manhwa sect hunt for a sacred Shaolin relic? The master's cold dismissal proves that some secrets are meant to stay buried. Even as the conversation ends, the disciple senses a much darker conspiracy. Those eyes have seen countless massacres and feel no remorse for the past. He finally questions the true purpose behind his duel with the Namgung lady. The terrifying truth dawns on him. His master has been playing them all. She confronts her master, asking if he planned for her inevitable defeat. The elder remains silent, his cold gaze hiding a much darker agenda. Every word in this room carries the weight of a deadly conspiracy. He simply smiles, claiming that victory isn't the only way to grow. The master insists this humiliation was necessary to expand her limited horizons. For a moment, the disciple wavers as she processes his cryptic lesson. She bows deeply, acknowledging the massive gap between her and the world. A bright smile hides the growing suspicion burning deep within her soul. With the conversation finished, the heavy doors seal their secrets away. Alone in the hallway, she realizes her master's game has just begun. Kang Hyun knows the time for secrets is finally coming to an end. He recalls the silent pact they shared while standing back-to-back earlier. The instruction was clear to meet at the training grounds at midnight. Cloaked in shadows, he begins his walk through the quiet estate. He navigates the corridors with the silence of a ghost avoiding detection. His eyes remain fixed on the path ahead, prepared for any interference. Stepping onto the ledge, he prepares to cross the inner courtyard unseen. A dark silhouette blurs against the moon as he glides over the tiles. Under the pine tree, the young disciple waits anxiously for his arrival. Her heart thumps against her chest as a familiar presence draws near. Kang Hyun arrives at the secret midnight meeting with a disarming, cheerful wave. He explains his early arrival to ensure he wouldn't get lost in the dark. Suddenly, she thrusts a mysterious document into his hands without any warning. She demands he deliver the secret message directly to his own sect leader. He hesitates, explaining the leader has been in seclusion for 2 long years. She instantly recognizes the cover story used to deceive the lower-ranking disciples. His ignorance confirms that the clan's inner secrets are kept from him entirely. She shatters his reality by revealing the sect leader is not in training. She points out the elders are visiting a secret location right under their noses. He desperately searches for a place where someone could be hidden in plain sight. Kang Hyun realizes the only possible hiding spot is a lowly, forgotten outhouse. His jaw drops when she confirms his secret thought with terrifying precision. She commands his absolute attention as the weight of the situation turns deadly serious. The truth finally breaks when she reveals the sect leader is actually deathly ill. Stunned silence follows as he struggles to process this impossible, clan-shattering news. Time is running out for the leader, and his life hangs by a thread. A shadow looms over Manhwa as a traitor prepares to strike the finishing blow. This single scrap of paper holds the only hope for the dying master's survival. She has laid all her cards on the table, leaving the future in his hands. He questions why a hidden powerhouse like her would entrust such a burden to him. She drops a bombshell, suggesting the legendary pill was handed over by a traitor. In this nest of vipers, she claims only 2 souls deserve her absolute trust. Her finger levels toward the one man who can change everything. She chooses him, the hidden powerhouse, to carry the weight of the sect's future. Stunned by the revelation, he feels the crushing gravity of her desperate gamble. He accepts the burden, vowing to uncover the truth hidden within that sacred scroll. With the secret shared, she frantically urges him to vanish before they are discovered. He turns to leave, every step heavy, with the secrets of a dying master. Suddenly he pauses, catching her off guard with one final, unexpected thought. Before disappearing into the night, he admits that their brief clash was actually fun. Kang Hyun wonders if a lifetime of discipline could have closed the gap. But the cold, smiling truth is that he never stood a chance. Crushed by the blunt rejection, he sulks as she questions his naive expectations. She reveals her power is beyond logic, requiring a literal rebirth to rival. Refusing to accept defeat, he desperately searches for a way to overcome her. A single promise of a wish ignites a fire in his greedy eyes. He leaps up, declaring a war that he will surely regret starting. Under the watchful moon, he proclaims his true identity to the heavens. With a roar of defiance, he vows to conquer the girl who humiliated him. She watches with pure exhaustion, wishing this loudmouthed warrior would finally just leave. Chaos erupts as guards hunt for the source of a terrifying, beastly cry. As morning breaks, she finally finds a moment of peace within the silent walls. With the Huashan sect gone, her focus shifts entirely back to her clan. She reflects on the heavy responsibilities waiting for her in this new reality. The estate stands still, bathed in the warmth of a seemingly normal day. Curiosity draws her toward the training hall to see how the others fare. She peeks through the doorway, expecting the usual routines of her fellow warriors. Instead, she finds them trembling and sweating, pushing past their physical breaking points. The air is thick, with the sound of desperate effort and grueling physical labor. Their sudden, fanatical obsession with becoming stronger leaves her completely caught off guard. Seolhwa steps forward with a gentle smile, asking if their training has been fruitful. An eerie silence blankets the room as she realizes something is terribly wrong. Before her, the elite warriors of her clan tremble in a state of pure exhaustion. One disciple gathers his courage, hesitantly speaking up to the mysterious young lady. The air grows tense when he admits they don't even know her true name. The squad leader is frozen in shock as she finally reveals her royal identity. Chaos erupts among the disciples as they realize who has been watching them. Suddenly, the heavy sound of a body hitting the floor echoes through the hall. The leader drops to his knees, offering a formal greeting to his superior. The rest of the unit watches in stunned silence as their commander bows low. The tension in the air is thick enough to choke the breath from their lungs. One by one, the elite warriors of the Red Dragon unit announce their names. They offer their lives and loyalty to the girl standing before them. This is no longer a simple meeting. It is a formal pledge of fealty. Even the youngest disciples shout with a fervor that shakes the very walls. The entire squad drops as one, honoring the return of their true young miss. The young miss stares back with a blank expression, overwhelmed by their sudden reverence. She awkwardly commands her subordinates to rise, finally breaking the heavy, suffocating silence. Despite her confusion, she notices their incredible growth and praises their newfound stamina. Her piercing gaze reveals a hidden power that even these elite warriors cannot fathom. The unit's limits have shattered, their endurance doubling under the weight of her presence. Time is running out as the promotion trials loom just 7 days away. Only the elite will survive the selection to face the entire clan's judgment. Witnessing their desperate hunger for strength, the squad leader feels a surge of pride. The young miss declares her ultimate goal, turning these outsiders into inner hall warriors. She reminds him that in the tangled web of power, skill alone is insufficient. Fearing he overstepped his bounds, the commander begs for her immediate forgiveness. But her words aren't a rebuke. They are the start of a total revolution. As she walks away, a mysterious promise leaves her loyal subordinate in stunned silence. Now, every hand grips their training weapon tighter, ready to seize a new destiny. She stands as a beacon of hope, vowing to become the clan's ultimate shield. Below her, the warriors realize the weight of the revolution she has just ignited. With a single strike, she promises to shatter every barrier blocking their path forward. Her gaze burns with a conviction that no common martial artist could ever possess. Though she is but a child, her presence commands the respect of every veteran. Even the seasoned squad leaders find themselves captivated by her impossible, unyielding spirit. A silent vow is forged as hands tighten into fists, ready for the coming storm. She grants them 7 days to transcend their limits and achieve true martial greatness. Overwhelmed by her vision, the commander pledges his very soul to her cause. Now, Namgung Jipyong knows exactly who he must follow to change the world forever. The commander bellows his loyalty, vowing to pour his entire soul into the training. Inspired by his fire, the younger disciples pledge to push beyond their physical limits. Seolhwa watches with a deadpan gaze, urging them to stay alive through the ordeal. Accepting their burning resolve, she draws a simple wooden blade with terrifying grace. Her eyes lock onto theirs as she challenges the group to a formal sparring match. The air in the training hall grows heavy as the master prepares her lesson. Under the pressure of his peers, the squad leader realizes he must lead the charge. He raises his practice weapon, ready to prove his worth against her impossible strength. A fierce grin spreads across his face as he warns her not to hold back. Dropping into a deadly stance, he promises that their previous weakness is now gone. Seolhwa settles into a perfect stance, her wooden blade radiating a terrifying ancient pressure. She smiles, knowing her strength has evolved far beyond what anyone here can comprehend. The sound of her strike echoes across the courtyard, signaling a new era for the clan. High above the training grounds, the weight of her power ripples through the silent air. Nearby, an elder pauses his tea, sensing the chaotic noise of a truly elite battle. He notes the devotion of the units, unaware a monster is currently molding their souls. Kang Hyun listens intently as the old man questions the sudden shift in his aura. The elder notices a familiar fire in his eyes that had been extinguished years ago. Silence falls between them as the weight of their hidden history hangs in the air. Finally, the survivor speaks his truth, demanding the council's absolute support for the coming war. The council elder watches carefully, knowing the clan's fate rests on a knife's edge. Kang Hyun listens as the old man reveals the hidden loyalty of the divided council. A single movement pauses the room, signaling the start of a dangerous political gambit. The elder issues a final challenge to prove his worth at the upcoming festival. A mere 30% is the price for the support he desperately needs to survive. If he can sway the minority, the elder promises to crush any remaining internal opposition. To lead the Namgung clan, he must first prove he can shoulder its bloody legacy. Determination burns in his eyes as he accepts the burden of 1,000 fallen warriors. A secret pact is sealed in silence, binding their fates together for the coming war. Meanwhile, Seolhwa senses the shifting tides of power as the true battle finally begins. After a grueling training session, a concerned attendant asks if she is exhausted. Looking at the defeated warriors, she realizes her strength has reached new heights. The young maid is visibly ecstatic to finally serve the clan's legendary genius. She explains that she desperately fought for the chance to join her staff. Suddenly, the air shifts as the reincarnated mistress senses a powerful new arrival. A stoic warrior from the elite Black Dragon unit steps into the light. His disciplined movements reveal the precision of a high-level martial arts expert. He bows deeply, announcing his assignment as her new personal shadow and escort. Recognizing her grandfather's influence, she accepts the powerful warrior into her service. With both loyalty and steel at her side, her path to power accelerates. Seolhwa decides it is time to stop hiding and officially begin her sword training. Her mysterious protector prepares for the storm that follows her every move. Even an elite warrior can feel the rising tension within the clan walls. Cold eyes watch from the shadows, questioning the arrival of this unexpected guest. As she enters the training grounds, whispers about her beggar past fill the air. The branch family disciples sneer at the girl they consider a mere interloper. Arrogant siblings clash openly, refusing to acknowledge her presence or her rightful rank. She watches their pathetic display of internal politics with a cold, calculating gaze. A massive bully blocks her path, claiming the training floor as his territory. These petty brats have no idea they are provoking a monster in disguise. These petty disciples care more about flattery than their actual martial training. An arrogant hand reaches out to stop her, sparking a dangerous confrontation. The clan's young master demands to know why she dares to ignore him. His younger sister pleads for him to stop before he makes a mistake. He sneers at her, calling her a lowlife who does not belong here. He mocks her special treatment, claiming the family's future rests solely on him. Seolhwa listens to his delusional rant, with a look of pure boredom. She wonders why such pathetic words would even bother a true warrior. Her calm smile only fuels his rage as he realizes she is mocking him. The entitled brats scream in fury, completely unaware they are facing a monster. The young master's teeth grit as his ego finally hits its breaking point. Blinded by humiliation, he lunges forward with a murderous scream and drawn steel. Seolhwa drops into a perfect stance, ready to end this pathetic display instantly. A thunderous command echoes as the pressure forces every disciple to their knees. Panic spreads through the crowd as they realize the situation has spiraled. A powerful presence suddenly manifests, towering over the chaotic training grounds. The unit leader roars in absolute fury at the sight of the internal strife. He cuts through the trembling ranks, radiating an aura of pure authority. His heavy footsteps signal the arrival of a judge who tolerates no excuses. He looms over the small girl, completely oblivious to her true, terrifying power. The commander stares in disbelief at the chaos unfolding right before his eyes. Seolhwa remains eerily calm, her cold gaze meeting his frantic questioning without hesitation. He looms over her, demanding to know why blood is being spilled so soon. With a heavy sigh, he warns the young girl to tread more carefully hereafter. She watches him leave, her silence hiding a power he couldn't possibly comprehend yet. He barks orders at the cowering disciples, forcing them back into their grueling drills. Suddenly, the commander pauses and turns back with a final, condescending instruction. He dismissively points her away, claiming this battlefield is no place for a child. The empty training grounds stand ready, yet he believes she lacks the necessary strength. He insists she is far too inexperienced to even touch a sword in his presence. The commander dismisses her previous training, insisting she start from the absolute basics. Confused, she questions what simple basics could possibly be left for her to learn. He pauses to consider his words, still underestimating the power hidden within her. Her piercing eyes narrow as he proposes, starting with the most elementary sword technique. A vision of the three fundamental forms appears, representing the pinnacle of simple mastery. Inner fury boils as she realizes he truly believes she needs such amateur instruction. He remains blissfully unaware of her true strength, continuing his arrogant and condescending lecture. While he preaches about universal principles, she dismisses his words as nothing but talk. With a final command, he sends her away to practice movements she perfected lifetimes ago. Walking away in silence, she plans her next move while others laugh behind her. Kang Hyun stands guard as the clan's hidden power dynamics begin to shift. He exhales a weary sigh, tired of the arrogance plaguing the Namgung family. Meanwhile, Seolhwa enjoys a quiet meal while being questioned about her difficult training. She maintains a calm facade, hiding the legendary soul within her small body. When asked about being bullied, she simply focuses on her food with total indifference. To a reincarnated master, the elite unit leader is nothing more than temporary entertainment. Her guardian praises the leader's past success in molding the clan's youngest martial artists. Her companion reveals that the legendary Cheongae personally handpicked the leader for promotion. An affectionate pinch reminds the warrior that her current role requires total deception. She accepts the small offering, biding her time until her true dominance is restored. Kang Hyun probes for hidden trouble over a deceptively peaceful meal. The young girl stares back with the silent weight of an ancient master. She assures him everything is fine, masking the true power dwelling within her. With a subtle movement, he prepares to reveal the clan's next great challenge. The legendary Heavenly Martial Festival looms just 8 days away from this moment. It is the ultimate stage where every warrior's true strength is finally judged. To prepare, the hidden powerhouse must isolate himself for intense, high-level enlightenment. Seolhwa watches silently, her calculated gaze betraying nothing of her secret plans. He admits his lingering worries were foolish after seeing her unwavering spirit. She bids him farewell, fully expecting him to reach the legendary Pinnacle Realm. He looks toward a future where the Pinnacle Realm is only the beginning. Modestly, he brushes off the praise while she insists on his inevitable greatness. A tender embrace marks the start of a journey toward absolute power. He vows to return stronger, carrying the weight of her unwavering expectations. With a final quiet affirmation, the bond between them is sealed in silence. As a new dawn breaks, the time for words finally comes to an end. He stands before the gates of seclusion, ready to face his greatest trial. Despite the lingering questions of his peers, he knows he must move forward. Each step carries the crushing pressure of a man destined for godhood. Surrounded by his loyal warriors, he prepares to vanish into his intense training. Seolhwa walks beside the clan elder, her eyes fixed on the path ahead. She stops abruptly, declaring her total mastery over the ancient sword arts. The elder freezes in disbelief, unable to process her impossible claim. She reaffirms her achievement, stating the complex three powers technique is now hers. He dismisses her words, insisting true mastery takes years of grueling effort. Walking away, he scoffs at the idea of comprehending such depth overnight. With an unwavering gaze, she gives a simple confirmation of her godlike progress. Bystanders begin to whisper, mocking the young girl for her perceived arrogance. The elder struggles to contain his amusement at her seemingly ridiculous boast. He breaks into laughter, completely unaware of the monstrous power she hides. The elder groans in frustration, refusing to believe a child could master such secrets. Seolhwa stares him down, coldly offering to prove her impossible claim right now. Her eyes burn with a hidden intensity as she prepares to shatter his reality. She slowly draws her blade, the atmosphere shifting as she enters a killing stance. He mocks her openly, inviting the girl to show off her supposed genius. Ignoring the insults from the crowd, she centers her spirit for a single strike. Though it feels like a waste, she decides to reveal her true monstrous nature. Her grip tightens on the hilt as she prepares the legendary three powers technique. In a flash of blinding light, she unleashes a strike that defies human logic. The elder freezes in terror as a godlike power finally leaves him speechless. She swings her wooden blade with the weight of 1,000 ancient battles. The simple practice weapon carves through the air with impossible, lethal speed. Her piercing blue eyes remain locked on her target, devoid of any mercy. A massive vertical slash erupts, completely shattering the elder's perception of reality. He stands frozen, unable to believe a child is dominating him so easily. Even without drawing blood, the sheer aura of the strike is suffocating him. Pure terror paralyzes his soul as he realizes he is facing a monster. She flawlessly executes the final, forbidden form of the legendary three powers technique. Shaking with primitive fear, the elder finally understands that he will not survive. A devastating final thrust concludes the most one-sided execution in the clan's history. The elder screams in absolute desperation as his world begins to crumble. A blinding surge of blue energy consumes the entire training courtyard instantly. He gasps for air, his mind failing to process this impossible display of power. Reality sets in as a cold wooden blade halts inches from his heart. The once proud master stands defeated by a child wielding monstrous, hidden strength. Nearby, Kang Hyun watches with a smirk, knowing the realization has finally hit. Observers can only marvel at an execution that ended before they could blink. He recalls his own arrogant warnings about the true path of the sword. Seolwa remains perfectly still, her eyes reflecting a wisdom far beyond her years. Shaken to his core, he vows never to teach her another technique again. The elder's final vow echoes, leaving the young prodigy in a world of silence. High above the training grounds, a cold mistress prepares to prune a rising threat. Reports of the girl's monstrous dedication only fuel the clan's growing suspicion and fear. Her stoic refusal to beg for mercy is seen as a sign of dangerous pride. A wicked smirk reveals that even the most talented souls are easily broken. The unit leader trembles, realizing he is merely a pawn in a lethal game. Secret inquiries into a stolen pill have finally unearthed a truth that changes everything. A shocking revelation about the girl's dark past leaves the unit leader frozen. Rumors of her life within a house of pleasure threaten to shatter her future. With a sharp snap of the shears, the mistress prepares her final lethal move. The mistress mocks the girl's origins, knowing the clan will soon demand blood. A single strike severs the peace, marking her as a stain to be removed. She weaponizes the truth, looming over her pawn like a shadow of death. Cruel secrets are destined to surface, leaving the girl with nowhere left to run. The unit leader trembles in terror, realizing he is trapped in a lethal game. With eyes glowing with malice, she prepares to prune away every useless branch. Meanwhile, the young prodigy walks calmly toward a trial that will change everything. She ponders how to unlock a power that transcends the limits of this world. But her path is suddenly blocked by a question she never expected to hear. The hidden powerhouse finally makes his move, seeing right through her perfect disguise. The hidden master is stunned that she witnessed his secret sword technique yesterday. He stammers in confusion, having assumed she took no interest in his progress. Guilt washes over him as he fears he has somehow offended the young lady. She sighs at his submissive silence, demanding he show some backbone and argue. Finally, the powerhouse relents and asks her to reveal her hidden secrets. Standing among the blossoms, she calmly prepares to explain her impossible feat. Later, the young prodigy gathers the disciples to announce a change in training. She introduces the quiet warrior standing behind her as her new personal escort. The atmosphere shifts as she locks eyes with her hidden protector before everyone. To the crowd's disbelief, she declares a public spar against her own mysterious guard. The hidden powerhouse stands frozen as a shocking new command is handed down. Disbelief washes over him because the request makes absolutely no sense for his rank. He cannot fathom why a warrior of his caliber is being assigned as a bodyguard. Deep inside the clan halls, he questions his superior about the mountain of unfinished missions. The leader explains that the young lady is the family's most precious treasure, but staying within these walls feels like being a caged animal chained to the past. The atmosphere turns cold as the command is clarified as an absolute, unbreakable order. His superior stares him down, demanding he recognize the gravity of this secret mission. Swallowing his frustration, he realizes there is no escape from this high-stakes duty. Now the clan's greatest secret must walk in the shadows of a young prodigy. He demands to know why an elite warrior is wasted on simple babysitting duties. The leader reminds him that protecting the clan's treasure is the highest honor possible. But he refuses to be a caged animal while the world moves without him. The atmosphere turns icy as the command is stripped of all room for debate. This mission comes directly from the family head, carrying the weight of absolute authority. Swallowing his pride, he suppresses his rising anger to accept this inescapable, secret burden. Yet, the sheer absurdity of the situation eventually forces a cynical laugh from him. He mocks the idea that a single day of training could change anything significant. Watching from the sidelines, he finds the young prodigy's stubbornness almost impossible to believe. She remains silent, pouring every ounce of her spirit into hitting a simple wooden dummy. He endures the stinging whispers of those who view him as a total failure. They claim he is a disgrace to the legendary name he carries. Rumors suggest his only strength comes from those protecting him from above. He watches as the young prodigy prepares for a fight she cannot win. A sudden burst of speed leaves the spectators gasping in pure disbelief. She moves with a lethal grace that contradicts her small and fragile frame. Every movement is a masterclass in techniques thought to be long forgotten. He realizes that her stubborn resolve is actually a sign of true power. Even her rivals are stunned that she would dare to challenge them directly. Kang Hyun tells the disciples to absorb every detail of the upcoming battle. Seolhwa watches him silently, planning to end this farce as quickly as possible. The vast arena goes quiet as the two combatants finally take their positions. He arrogantly offers her a 3-move head start using his family signature technique. While she warns him of his mistake, he only responds with a mocking smile. She gives a final nod, ready to prove her strength to everyone watching. Suddenly, she lunges forward like a blue streak, initiating the first lethal form. Their swords clash in a violent explosion of energy and raw martial power. His confidence shatters when he feels the crushing weight of her unexpected strength. She realizes that suppressing her inner power won't make this victory any easier. Channeling her strength, she unleashes the devastating second form of her family's technique. A massive vertical smash craters the ground as the arena trembles under her weight. Her opponent barely evades the shockwave, realizing he is fighting a literal monster. With a burst of blinding speed, she closes the distance before he can react. The unit leader gasps in shock as she completely vanishes from his line of sight. Suddenly, she soars high above the battlefield like a predator descending upon its prey. Her eyes burn with cold determination as she prepares the final, lethal, third form. A piercing blue light streaks through the air, signaling the end of this duel. Kang Hyun realizes the true depth of the threat standing before him. A violent surge of blue energy erupts as the battle reaches a fever pitch. Every step shatters the ground as they move faster than the eye can follow. She descends like a goddess of war, crushing the arena with her overwhelming presence. The young master stands unfazed, her cold gaze piercing through the rising dust. Frustration boils over as he realizes his calculated defense has completely failed. Even a direct deflection could not slow her down or leave a single scratch. She mockingly reminds him of his arrogance before he is forced to apologize. With a terrifying smile, she declares that the real fight is only just beginning. A blade ignites with a terrifying, flickering orange heat. He watches in disbelief as the impossible unfolds before his eyes. This child is manifesting pure sword energy with terrifying ease. He wonders how a mere 13-year-old could reach the legendary peak realm. With a cold smile, she declares that the real duel finally begins. He prepares to release a gale of power he has been suppressing. The arena explodes into a chaotic storm of clashing red and blue. He grips his blade tighter, bracing for an impact that could be fatal. Every nerve is on fire as he locks onto his unstoppable opponent. The arena trembles as blue and red energies collide in a terrifying display. Kang Hyun moves with a precision that defies his young age and hidden identity. But Seolhwa is a monster in disguise, her movements blurring into lethal crimson streaks. Every clash creates a shockwave that threatens to tear the very courtyard apart. A massive explosion of power signals the end of their mere warm-up. The unit leader watches in horror, unable to believe this is just a duel. Even a master like Hyun struggles to track her godlike footwork with his eyes. This is the power of the legendary Black Dragon unit reborn in the present. He realizes he is witnessing a level of swordsmanship thought lost to history. The gap between them is wider than anyone in the clan could have imagined. The squad leader stands frozen, his breath hitching as he witnesses the impossible. But what is truly terrifying is how Seolhwa dominates this high-level exchange. Her eyes remain cold and calculating, dissecting every opening with lethal precision. Every movement is silent, yet her blade carries the weight of 1,000 suns. He realizes her speed matches that of the most legendary assassins in history. This is no longer a simple training duel between a master and disciple. He clenches his fist, desperate to memorize a level of power he never knew. Standing in the presence of monsters, he vows to absorb every single detail. Steel screams against steel as their raw energy threatens to shatter the air. Hyun is pushed to his limit during this absolute demonstration of martial mastery. Seolhwa mocks his focus, noting he still has enough leeway to watch the crowd. Their blades collide with a force that threatens to tear the training grounds apart. Hyun narrows his eyes, deciding it is finally time to push his limits further. A single step shatters the stone as he prepares to unleash his true speed. Blue energy surges through his steel as he lunges forward like a lethal phantom. His movements become a blur, leaving nothing but echoes of dust in his wake. A massive shockwave erupts as their conflicting powers meet in a violent explosion. Fire and frost dance around them while the air screams from the immense pressure. Neither warrior gives an inch, locked in a desperate struggle for absolute dominance. Even the legendary Seolhwa begins to feel the weight of this overwhelming, unexpected power. The unit leader watches in horror as Seolhwa is finally forced to retreat. She swings her blazing blade with desperate intensity to reclaim the momentum. But Hyun stands firm, his own steel ready to meet her overwhelming heat. He descends like a crushing storm, his blue aura overwhelming the very air. Seolhwa skids across the stone, barely maintaining her footing against his raw pressure. Refusing to lose, she lunges forward, determined to end this fight right now. Hyun counters with blinding speed, a lethal blur of blue energy and precision. In the heat of battle, a chilling smile creeps across Seolhwa's face. Suddenly, the sound of shattering metal echoes as the blade begins to splinter. Hyun stares at his fractured weapon, realizing the true cost of this clash. Hyun stares in absolute silence, unable to comprehend the impossible sight before him. In a single, devastating clash, his reinforced blade shatters into 1,000 useless pieces. The remnants of his pride fall to the stone like rain in a storm. He grips the broken hilt, trembling from the sheer weight of his opponent's power. Defeat washes over him as he realizes he was outclassed from the very beginning. Lowering his head, he finally admits that the young girl has claimed total victory. Seolhwa nonchalantly explains that she simply exploited the structural weaknesses of his wooden weapon. He listens in disbelief as she describes a level of precision he never imagined. What felt like a god-tier feat to him was merely child's play for her. She turns her gaze back, waiting for the final question he is desperate to ask. The unit leader stands frozen, demanding to know why she chooses to hold back. He knows her talent far exceeds their captain, yet she continues to endure humiliation. He wonders if she truly lacks the will to strike back against her doubters. A heavy silence falls over the grounds while she contemplates his desperate question. With cold indifference, she dismisses the entire conflict as nothing more than trivial. She walks past him, claiming her blade is reserved for far greater purposes. Words alone cannot bridge the massive gap in their understanding of true power. Her footsteps suddenly halt, the atmosphere shifting with a new, chilling intent. She turns back, deciding that a direct demonstration is the only way to explain. A haunting smile plays on her lips as she prepares to reveal her retribution. Standing alone in the courtyard, she prepares to let her blade do the talking. The heavy silence carries the weight of a true swordsman's unspoken promise. Her challenger watches from afar, doubting the message hidden within her steel. Within that small frame, an indomitable will radiates from her very soul. She closes her eyes, tuning out the world to summon her internal power. Suddenly, a chilling blue aura erupts as she drops into a lethal stance. The forbidden will of the heavenly demon flows into her glowing sword hilt. She initiates the first opening form of the legendary Namgung family technique. A massive pillar of light shatters the atmosphere as her strength finally explodes. With heaven and earth aligned, her strike becomes an absolute force of destruction. The atmosphere shifts as she prepares the second form of her family's ultimate technique. Blue energy surges through her small frame as she drops into a lethal stance. A massive cross of celestial light shatters the air with overwhelming destructive force. She moves with the grace of a god, carrying the absolute truth of heavens. Every fiber of her being focuses on the blade as space begins to distort. Her piercing gaze promises that nothing under the sky can survive this coming strike. The sword hums with a terrifying vibration as she tightens her iron-like grip. She descends like a falling star, unleashing the legendary Great Namgung Heavenly Strike. Reality itself seems to buckle under the weight of her sheer martial intent. The watching masters are blown back, unable to believe a child possesses such power. The unit leader can only watch in horror as the atmosphere begins to warp. Seolhwa unleashes a pressure that shouldn't belong to a girl her age. Her eyes reveal the terrifying intent of a warrior who has mastered death. Kang Hyun is frozen in place, questioning if this power is even real. He realizes that her sword style isn't just for killing, but for something more. Beneath the brilliant surface lies a blade weighed down by a heavy heart. Even under that immense pressure, her spirit refuses to break and still cuts through. Only someone with such absolute resolution could ever achieve this level of focus. She turns to face him, making it clear that this is her true self. Her gaze remains steady, signaling the start of a new, dangerous era. Kang Hyun's heart races as he finally understands the gap between their souls. True strength isn't about crushing the weak under a heavy heel. Instead, it's about recognizing a master and learning from their absolute power. Overwhelmed by shame, he drops to the ground and begs for his punishment. The elite warrior of the Black Dragon finally acknowledges his own insignificance. He publicly pledges his life and sword to the young lady forever. Seolhwa stands frozen, never expecting such a high-ranking master to submit. She can barely process the incredible display of power she just witnessed. Nearby, the senior leaders erupt into a frenzy of pure, unadulterated shock. Their eyes sparkle with reverence for the greatest technique they have ever seen. The training grounds echo with the desperate swings of a man seeking true strength. Kang Hyeon watches in silence as the weight of their legacy begins to shift. All eyes are now on the young miss who has finally returned home. But under the cover of darkness, poisonous rumors begin to spread through the estate. Whispers claim she was raised as nothing more than a common, high-class entertainer. To the proud disciples, such a scandalous past is a stain on their lineage. They fear the world will laugh if the truth of her upbringing is revealed. Honestly, the internal conflict brewing within these walls is reaching a breaking point. High above the ancient rooftops, the prestige of the Namgung hangs by a thread. Confusion strikes as the young miss hears a sudden, desperate plea for forgiveness. A high-ranking disciple bows low, taking full responsibility for a disastrous failure. The entire unit follows suit, their pride shattered by a weight they cannot carry. Blood drips from a clenched jaw, revealing the brutal physical toll of their secret. Their dreams are crushed after being banned from the upcoming clan promotion trials. Standing before their masters, they admit that their future in the clan is over. Shock washes over her as she realizes the true cost of their loyalty. They were mocked and told they would never amount to anything more than failures. But when the insults turned toward her, they chose a violent, one-sided war instead. The broken disciples bow their heads, admitting they have no excuse for their failure. Their future is stripped away as the promotion exam qualifications are cruelly revoked. They offer a desperate apology to the young mistress they feel they have failed. Confusion strikes their faces when she asks if they truly intend to give up. She commands them to stand tall, refusing to let their spirits be broken today. A promise was made, and she refuses to let their hard work vanish. With a decisive step forward, she tells them to focus only on their training. She walks toward the danger alone, swearing to handle the heavy burden herself. The others watch in silence as she marches toward an inevitable and violent confrontation. Silent footsteps echo as they march toward a storm of brewing whispers. The shadows of the courtyard grow heavy with the weight of toxic rumors. Hyun warns that the reckless talk must be reported to the clan head. He senses a malicious trap hidden behind every venomous word being spread. But the young mistress remains calm, ordering him to simply wait and watch. She knows that forced silence only fuels the fire of suspicion even further. A shocking admission drops as she reveals the rumors contain a grain of truth. They step through the threshold, unaware of the horror waiting in the dark. A blood-curdling scream shatters the air, bringing their world to a sudden halt. A chaotic brawl erupts as a loyal servant pins a traitorous girl down. She demands the truth, screaming for the girl to reveal her hidden master. Fury boils over as she refuses to let toxic lies reach her mistress. But the desperation of the cornered girl turns into a savage, clawing strike. Crimson blood spills as a jagged scratch marks the face of the loyalist. Hyun stands frozen in disbelief, witnessing the brutal escalation of the clan's rot. Seolwa watches with chilling indifference, questioning if he will just stand by. Under the pale moonlight, the young mistress draws her blade to end the chaos. A single flash of blue light cuts the darkness, silencing the night forever. A hidden scheme unfolds as steel bites through the training targets of the clan. Kang Hyun realizes this sabotage goes far beyond mere competition between ambitious martial artists. A single strike marks the beginning of a cold and calculated investigation into shadows. Shredded remnants of the trial prove that an outside force is manipulating the exam. Kang Hyun suspects a high-ranking traitor is pulling strings from within the hierarchy. Rumors spreading before the Heavenly Martial Festival point toward a much darker political play. This conspiracy aims to shatter his prestige and steal the title of clan head. They intend to break him by targeting the innocent lives he swore to protect. Beneath the mask of a survivor, a cold fury begins to boil and overflow. The shadow of the woman responsible for everything finally emerges from the dark. Memories of Yeon Soren's tragic fall haunt his every waking moment. A cold warning echoes as she pushes her body past the point of no return. One wrong move during this intense training could mean the end of her life. Seolwa stands frozen as the weight of her own power begins to overwhelm her. Breathless and trembling, the young master struggles to maintain her fragile composure. She collapses in a fit of violent coughs, her internal energy spiraling out of control. Her obsession with the blade has become a cage that suffocates her very soul. Even the most seasoned warriors can see the cracks forming in her resolve. Kang Hyun confronts the young master, sensing a storm of hidden rage within her. Seolwa pauses in shock, her mask of composure slipping for just a fleeting second. He stands his ground, confirming that her silent fury is plain for all to see. The realization hits her hard as she struggles to process her own chaotic emotions. Frustrated by her stubbornness, the mentor realizes he took the entirely wrong approach. She remains silent, her pride clashing with the vulnerability she tries to hide. He shifts his tone, demanding to know the true weight crushing her spirit. A heavy silence falls between them as he prepares to offer a different path. Looking up at him, the young warrior finally finds a glimmer of hope.